The Vulcan ambassador's mocking laughter echoes through the Galactic Council chambers as she gestures dismissively at Max, the German shepherd sitting alert beside his handler. "Behold, the mighty Earth delegation brings their pets to our sacred halls," she announces, her crystalline features catching the light of Alpha Centauri Station's artificial sun. Jordan Reyes maintains his military bearing, jaw clenched, as thousands of alien representatives join in the derision. The prestigious chamber, with its soaring crystal spires and hovering delegation pods, feels suffocating. 200 of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations represented here, and not one of them understands. "These humans," Ambassador Cora continues, her silver skin rippling with apparent disgust, "claim admission to our ranks while maintaining primitive emotional attachments to lesser beasts." Her tall, elegant form towers over Reyes as she approaches. "Tell us, human, how do you justify bringing such a creature to these chambers?" Reyes steps forward, his decorated uniform marking him as one of Earth's premier K9 handlers. The bond between humans and dogs has, his explanation cuts short as the chamber erupts in derisive hoots and chittering laughs. Max's ears suddenly prick forward, his muscles tense beneath his tactical vest. Before Reyes can process the change, Max launches into action. The shepherd's enhanced training kicks in as he leaps past the shocked Ambassador Cora, taking down a shimming figure that had been invisible moments before. Two more cloaked forms materialize, weapons raised. Max moves with precision, disarming one Dreknid assassin with a bite to the weapon arm while Reyes tackles the other. The Vulcan security systems, supposedly the most advanced in the galaxy, had failed to detect the threat. In the chaos that follows, Max's actions saved dozens of ambassadors. The chamber that moments ago rang with mockery now fills with shocked whispers as security teams surge forward to secure the wood assassins. Ambassador Cora approaches Reyes again, her crystalline features set in grave lines. "Handler Reyes, we face a crisis. The biomechanical swarm has consumed 12 outer worlds. Our most advanced detection systems cannot track them. Our combat units fail against their adaptive capabilities." She pauses, looking down at Max, who returns to sit at attention by Reyes' side. Perhaps we have been short-sighted. Your military working dogs, with their enhanced sensory capabilities and unbreakable loyalty, may be our only hope against an enemy we cannot see." The Council's vote is swift. The Human Canine Special Operations Division is established, with Reyes and Max appointed to lead the training of both human handlers and alien warriors in K9 combat tactics. As Reyes surveys the chamber that so recently mocked him, he realizes this is just the beginning. Humanity's rise from ridiculed newcomers to essential defenders of galactic civilization starts here, with the very companions the aliens once dismissed as mere pets. As the council chambers emptied, a Vulcan attendant guided Reyes and Max through crystalline corridors to their assigned quarters in Alpha Centauri Station's military wing. The sterile, metallic room bore little resemblance to the comfortable K9 facilities back on Earth. Max's claws clicked against the smooth floor as he investigated the sparse space. "Not exactly what you're used to, is it, boy?" Reyes ran his hand along Max's back while reviewing the preliminary staffing notifications on his tablet. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Henry's appointment as his second-in-command brought a slight smile to his face. They'd worked together during the Mars colony crisis. The smile faded when he accessed the training facility specifications. Cargo Bay 7 consisted of nothing but empty space and stark walls, no terrain variations, no scent markers, no obstacles. Max wouldn't be able to demonstrate even basic tracking exercises in such an environment. A chime announced Henry's arrival. The seasoned veteran's weathered face creased with concern as he studied the facility specs over Reyes' shoulder. "They're setting us up to fail," Henry said, his voice low. "Half the council still thinks we're savages with pets. Then we changed the environment. Ray's pulled up Earth Force requisition forms. We need real dirt grass samples, variable terrain modules, everything we use in standard K-9 training. The Vulcans won't like it. The Vulcans don't have to like it. They just have to see results. The request caught Dr. Nyara's attention within hours. The Centaurian xenobiologist arrived unannounced, her iridescent scales shifting colors as she observed Max investigating a maintenance drone. "Fascinating," she murmured, recording Max's reactions with her neural scanner. The speed of environmental processing, the integration of multiple sensory inputs. Our most advanced systems can't match this level of adaptive response. Station Security Chief Tormak proved less enthusiastic. The tall Vulcan stormed into the cargo bay as the first Earth Force containers arrived, his crystalline features rigid with displeasure. "This bay is not designed for biological containment," he declared. "The introduction of Earth substances poses an unacceptable risk." His protests died 3 days later when Max's sudden alertness during a routine patrol led to the discovery of a radiation leak in the power core. Dr. Nyara's instruments confirmed what Max had already detected: a hairline crack in the containment field that standard sensors had missed. The arrival of the first training cohort transformed the Enceinte cargo bay. Sarah Hayes's Belgian Malinois, Shadow, demonstrated explosive detection techniques, while James Wong's Bloodhound, Duke, located hidden personnel in record time. Alien observers watched with increasing interest as the dogs performed feats that their advanced technology struggled to replicate. Andorian Combat Master Krau emerged as an unexpected ally. The blue-skinned warrior recognized the tactical advantages immediately. "Your companions see what we cannot," Krau told Reyes while watching Max work with a Rigelian recruit. "They process information in ways our technology fails to grasp." Dr. Nyara's research provided scientific validation. Her neural scans revealed unique patterns in canine brain activity that proved resistant to the swarm's psychic interference, a critical advantage against an enemy that had already consumed 12 worlds. The emergency signal from Outpost Gamma 7 arrived during a joint training exercise. Shadow had just located a hidden cache of simulated explosives when all communication screens flashed red. The research station's silence prompted immediate concern among Council leadership. In the command center, Reyes studied the outpost schematics while Max sat alert at his side. The station's last transmissions showed no signs of conventional attack, no weapon signatures, no shield breaches, just silence. Traditional detection methods are useless against the swarm's new biological camouflage, Dr. Nyara reported, her scales darkening with concern. "If they've developed a way to mask their presence completely." Krau stepped forward, his antennae twitching. "Then we need hunters who don't rely on technology alone." All eyes turned to the newly formed human canine teams. The Council faced an immediate choice: trust in conventional forces or deploy their unconventional new asset against an invisible enemy. Max's ears pricked forward as if sensing the weight of the moment. Beside him, Reyes waited for the Council's decision. "Deploy the K-9 teams," Ambassador Cora commanded, her crystalline features hardening with purpose. "Time is critical." Reyes activated his neural comm as Max stood alert beside him. "All K-9 handlers report to Launch Bay 3. He turned to Combat Master Krau, who observed them with keen interest. "Will you join us?" The Andorian's antennae twitched forward. "I will learn your methods firsthand." Within minutes, the launch bay filled with activity. Sarah Hayes guided Shadow through Premission equipment checks, while James Wong calibrated Duke's atmospheric sensors. 2 newer teams joined them: Mike Foster with his powerfully built Rottweiler Atlas, and David Henry handling the sleek Dutch Shepherd Rex. Dr. Nyara's holographic form materialized beside their prototype stealth transport. Atmospheric readings from Gamma 7 match known swarm signatures, but with variations I've never seen. Your canine companions may encounter unfamiliar stimuli. My security teams stand ready, Tormek interrupted, striding into the bay. This mission requires proven tactical units, not experimental forces. Ambassador Cora silenced him with a gesture. The assassination attempt proved traditional methods insufficient. Proceed, Handler Rays. The transport's modified cabin accommodated both human and alien physiology. Max settled into his secured position beside Rays, while Crowl studied the shepherd's focused demeanor. The other dogs remained equally alert during launch, their enhanced training evident in their calm response to the artificial gravity shifts. As they approached Gamma 7, the station's defense grid sparked with erratic energy patterns. Max's ears suddenly pricked forward. Shadow, Duke, Atlas, and Rex displayed similar reactions, heads raised, muscles tensing. Multiple contacts, Hayes reported, monitoring Shadow's behavioral indicators. Not showing on sensors. Wang checked his readings. Duke's tracking organic signatures, different from normal human patterns. The dog's unified response guided them to a cargo access port untouched by the station's malfunctioning defenses. Inside, emergency lights cast shadows through empty corridors. Max's nose worked constantly, leading them past seemingly normal wall panels that their sensors ignored. Here, Rays directed, following Max's indication. Crowl exposed the hidden node biological technology masquerading as standard infrastructure. Remarkable, the Andorian warrior observed. Our most advanced detection systems missed this completely. Duke's sudden whine drew Wang's attention. He's got something, survival sense heading lower. They followed the bloodhound's lead to the station's sublevel where stasis pods lined the walls. Inside each pod, a crew member floated unconsciously while biomechanical tendrils extracted genetic information. Atlas growled first. Foster checked his tactical display. Movement, multiple vectors. The attack came without warning. Biomechanical forms emerged from the walls, emitting high-frequency pulses that sent the dogs into momentary confusion. Max shook his head, fighting through the disorientation. The other dogs struggled similarly, their training warring against the alien influence. Crowl witnessed Max recover first, the shepherd launching himself at a swarm construct despite the debilitating frequencies. The dog's jaws crushed crucial neural clusters, proving biological weapons could damage the hybrid entities. The bond, Dr. Nyara's voice came through their comms. Their neural patterns stabilize through handler connection. It's protecting them from full swarm influence. Shadow and Duke flanked their handlers, coordinating attacks with Hayes and Wang. Atlas's powerful jaws tore through biomechanical armor, while Rex darted between targets with precision strikes. Their alien partners adapted quickly, synchronizing their advanced combat techniques with the dog's intuitive hunting patterns. A screech of tearing metal drew their attention to the station's core. Through the transparent barriers, they witnessed masses of swarm technology assembling into launch configurations. Those formations, Crowl recognized the patterns. They're preparing to strike the Vulcan colony at Centauri 9. Max's bark echoed through the chamber as he located another hidden access point. The dog's behavior communicated urgency even before Rays translated for their alien allies. He's found their primary control node, Rays announced. But we've got multiple hostiles between us and the target. The dogs moved into formation, their enhanced senses already tracking enemy positions. Their handlers checked weapons while their alien partners readied for close combat. Through the station's viewports, the lights of Centauri 9 glittered, unaware of the approaching threat. Max's muscles tensed as they approached the first swarm patrol. The infiltration units moved with unnatural fluidity through the corridor ahead, their mimicry of human movement precise, but lacking the subtle imperfections of genuine biology. Reyes guided his team into a maintenance shaft, following Max's silent indication of a safe route. The narrow tunnel stretched into darkness, filled with the soft clicks of dog claws against metal grating. Shadow's tail brushed against a power conduit, causing Hayes to pause and check her tactical display. "Multiple heat signatures in Cargo Bay 12, she whispered, interpreting Shadow's behavioral cues, different from standard crew patterns. The dogs led them to an observation port overlooking the cargo hold. The site below froze them in place. Hundreds of translucent pods lined the walls, each containing a developing infiltration unit. Biological tendrils pulsed with stolen genetic material as the swarm manufactured perfect copies of the station's crew. "They're not just taking the station," Wang observed, watching Duke track scent patterns through the air. "They're using it as a breeding ground." A sudden movement in the maintenance shaft behind them triggered an instant response from Rex. The Dutch shepherd's hackles raised as Private Henry swung his weapon toward the sound. From the shadows emerged a haggard figure in a scientist's uniform. "Dr. Marcus Wells," the man identified himself, hands raised. "Chief researcher. I've been hiding in the maintenance system since they took control." Max's ears flattened and he moved into an aggressive stance. Reyes noted the disconnect between the dog's reaction and the seemingly authentic appearance of the scientist. Within seconds, a second Dr. Wells stumbled around the corner, this one displaying identical wounds and wearing the same torn uniform. Without hesitation, Max launched himself at the first Wells. His jaws connected with biomechanical tissue masquerading as human flesh. The infiltrator's disguise dissolved, revealing its true form as Max's attack disrupted its mimetic systems. The real Dr. Wells slumped against the wall. "They've perfected their mimicry, even scent replication, but they can't duplicate the complex chemical signatures of human-dog interaction." Crowell's antennae twitched with interest. "A biological authentication protocol." The bond between handler and companion becomes a weapon. The station's environmental systems surged, filling the corridor with a high-frequency pulse that sent the dogs into momentary distress. Max whined, pressing closer to Reyes. The other handlers followed suit, maintaining physical contact with their K9 partners. "Fascinating," Dr. Nyara's voice came through their neural comms. "The neural connection strengthens when you touch. It's creating a feedback loop that resists swarm interference." Foster's Rottweiler Atlas recovered first, leading them toward the reactor control center. The massive dog's powerful frame made short work of a sealed maintenance hatch, revealing the horror within. The reactor core pulsed with unnatural energy, its standard containment systems transformed into organic processors. "They've modified it to power a mass conversion field," Dr. Wells explained, studying the mutated controls. "Once activated, it will transform the entire Vulcan colony into swarm biomass." The reactor's warning systems flashed red. Duke's agitated behavior confirmed Wang's worst fears. "Energy levels are approaching critical. We don't have time to wait for Vulcan reinforcements." Lieutenant Commander Henry's voice crackled through their comms. "The waste disposal system, if we can vent the excess energy into space." "The radiation levels in those chambers will kill any human or alien who tries to reach the controls," Dr. Wells interrupted. All eyes turned to the K9 units. The dogs' enhanced physiology and protective gear offered their only chance. Shadow already tracked the path to the disposal controls, while Duke mapped the radiation gradients. Atlas and Rex positioned themselves near their handlers, ready to move. Max looked up at Reyes, awaiting the command that would send him into lethal radiation zones. Around them, swarm combat units converged on their position, drawn by the reactor's rising energy signature. The dogs would have to navigate both environmental hazards and enemy resistance to reach their objective. Crowell readied his weapons. "We'll hold this position. Give your companions the time they need." The station's superstructure groaned as the reactor strained against its containment field. Through the reinforced windows, the lights of Centauri 9 still glittered, unaware of the genocide brewing in Gamma-7's corrupted core. Reyes activated Max's protective systems and unclipped his tactical harness. The Shepherd's muscles coiled beneath advanced armor plating, ready to move. Behind them, the first wave of swarm combat units breached the outer defenses. "Find the controls, boy," Reyes commanded. "Find them. Find the path." Reyes adjusted Max's protective gear one final time, securing the radiation-resistant vest Dr. Nyara had developed. The specialized equipment encased Max's muscular frame in layers of protective polymers and neural stabilizers. Similar gear adorned Shadow, Duke, Atlas, and Rex as their handlers performed final equipment checks. Through his tactical interface, Reyes sensed Max's mild discomfort with the restrictive gear. The Shepherd's movements showed subtle adjustments to compensate for the reduced mobility. "Neural links stable," Dr. Nyara reported through the comm. "Handler connections reading at maximum strength." The first wave of swarm combat units burst through the outer barriers. Wong and Hayes established a defensive perimeter while Foster and Henry deployed countermeasures. Combat Master Kral's particle rifle cut down 3 attackers in rapid succession. "Go," Kral ordered. "We'll contain them here." Max took point, leading the K-9 unit through the access corridor toward the radiation zones. Their practiced formation carried them past the first contamination barrier, sensors registering the spike in ambient radiation. Shadow followed close behind, carrying crucial venting system components in her tactical harness. Duke and Rex flanked the group while Atlas brought up the rear. A new sound echoed through the corridor, a liquid slithering that set the dogs' hackles rising. The swarm units pursuing them seemed to melt, reforming into mercury-like streams that flowed across walls and ceiling. "Movement patterns unknown," Reyes transmitted. "Standard combat protocols ineffective." "Rigelian neural disruptors," a new voice cut through their comms. "The liquefaction process leaves them vulnerable to targeted frequency bursts." A figure emerged from a maintenance shaft tall, with the distinctive bioluminescent skin patterns of a Rigelian. "Chief Engineer Kira Valen, I've been monitoring your progress through the maintenance systems." Max's posture remained alert but non-aggressive, confirming her identity as genuine. The Rigelian engineer moved smoothly through the radiation field, her natural resistance evident. "The swarm adapted this technology from our research," she explained, adjusting controls on a portable device. "But they never fully understood the wavelength limitations." A high-pitched pulse emanated from her device. The liquid swarm units solidified mid-transformation, their partially-formed bodies shattering against the deck plating. They pressed forward, radiation levels climbing. The dogs' movements became more measured, their enhanced senses partially muted by the protective gear. Atlas's powerful frame suddenly shifted as a section of flooring gave way beneath him. The Rottweiler disappeared into the darkness below. "Atlas." Foster's neural link transmitted the dog's vital signs stable but separated from the group. "I've got him on sensors," Valen reported. "He's found something, a secondary chamber. These readings. They're using the station's subspace array." Through his neural link, Reyes received Max's sensory input, increasing pressure variations, electromagnetic distortions far beyond normal reactor patterns. The Shepherd directed them toward the primary control junction. "Radiation approaching critical threshold," Dr. Wells warned. "Even with protection, the dogs have limited time." Shadow reached the main control panel first, Hayes guiding her through the complex sequence of activating the emergency vents. Duke's sensors mapped safe approach vectors while Rex stood guard, tracking multiple hostile signatures converging on their position. "The reactor's not their primary target," Foster reported through Atlas's feed. "They're building something down here, a broadcast array." The whole sector's at risk. Kral's voice cut through the tactical channel. The pattern it matches the frozen siege of Andoria. They're creating a diversion while positioning for a mass assault. Lieutenant Commander Henry's transmission followed. Rerouting auxiliary power. It'll buy you 10 minutes before radiation becomes lethal. Max accessed the first control node, Ray's directing his movements through their enhanced neural connection. The Shepherd's jaws closed precisely on the emergency release mechanism, while Shadow initiated the power transfer sequence. A proximity alert flashed through their tactical displays. Multiple swarm signatures emerged from concealed ports, not combat units, but infection tendrils seeking vulnerable biological matter. The dog's protective gear repelled the initial contact, but the attacks grew more coordinated with each attempt. The crew, Hayes transmitted from her position with the security team. They're networked into some kind of biological computer. The whole station's being controlled through their neural patterns. Through the observation ports, the first signs of the approaching swarm fleet appeared, dark shapes moving against the star field, using the asteroid belt for cover. Max completed the final sequence, his actions synchronized with Shadow's power management and Duke's containment protocols. The station's superstructure groaned as systems realigned. Rex intercepted another wave of infection tendrils, while Atlas transmitted crucial data about the subspace array's vulnerabilities. The dogs moved with practiced efficiency despite their restrictive gear, each action bringing them closer to their multiple objectives. Valen's fingers flew across the control interface. The biological computer's access nodes are responding, if we time this correctly. Max's ears suddenly pricked forward, picking up frequencies beyond human perception. Through their neural link, Rays sensed a new pattern emerging in the station's electromagnetic field. The Shepherd turned toward a hidden access panel, his training focusing on this critical discovery. Max's attention fixed on the hidden panel, his training kicking in as he processed the electromagnetic anomalies. With precise movements, he pressed his nose against a specific section of the wall. The panel slid open, revealing an auxiliary control center filled with both standard and biological interfaces. Command node located, Rays transmitted through the neural link. Max found a secondary operations center. Through Atlas's feed, Foster's voice crackled with urgency. This connects to what we found below. The whole station's systems are accessible from here. A figure emerged from the shadows of the auxiliary control room. Commander James Harrison stood with one hand pressed against a biological interface panel, his skin showing patches of swarm integration that pulsed with an internal light. The neural patterns, Harrison spoke, his voice fluctuating between human and synthetic tones. Your K9 units, they're creating interference in the network. Dr. Nyara's voice cut through their comms. His integration is incomplete. The swarm couldn't fully process his neural patterns. Harrison moved toward a central console, his movements jerky and uneven. The biological computer can't handle the complexity of your bonds. Every time your dogs interact with the system, it causes localized crashes. Valen's fingers flew across her portable interface. We can use this. The neural transmitters in their protective gear if we modify the broadcast frequency. To amplify the human canon neural patterns, Dr. Nyara finished. Create a cascading system failure. A maintenance hatch opened, admitting a team of Rigelians led by Senior Technician Vorkal. They carried specialized equipment designed to bridge biological and mechanical systems. Max tracked their movements while maintaining his position near the primary console. Through their neural link, Rays guided him through the initialization sequence. Shadow, Duke, Rex, and Atlas converged on different control nodes, their handlers coordinating through Dr. Nyara's enhanced interface. Vulcan reinforcements approaching, Lieutenant Commander Henry reported. Captain Soren's fleet is establishing a defensive perimeter. Duke suddenly froze, his nose working the air, Wang accessed the sensory feed. Secondary radiation leak detected. East quadrant near life support. Rex and I can handle it, Private Henry transmitted. The rest of you focus on the broadcast array. Through the observation windows, the swarm fleet emerged from the asteroid field in attack formation. Their ships moved in precise patterns, generating interference waves that resonated with the station's subspace array. They're trying to amplify their conversion signal, Lieutenant Commander Henry observed, using the fleet as a transmission network. Shadow reached the central processing core, Hayes guiding her through layers of biological security. The dog's presence created visible disruptions in the neural storage systems where the crew's consciousness resided. Careful, Harrison warned, fighting against his partial integration. The crew's neural patterns are fragile. One wrong move. Valen and Vorkal worked rapidly, modifying the K9 unit's protective gear to broadcast enhanced neural signatures. Max's systems came online first, sending waves of interference through the biological computer. Atlas's feed showed similar results from below, while Duke coordinated with Rex to contain the radiation leak without compromising their broadcast position. Swarm ships entering weapons range, Combat Master Krall reported. Vulcan defensive line holding. Through their enhanced neural links, the handlers synchronized their commands. 5K9 units positioned at critical nodes throughout the station, prepared to broadcast simultaneously. Harrison pressed his integrated hand against the main console, creating a feedback loop that would amplify their transmission. The station's systems surged as Max initiated the broadcast sequence. Shadow's presence in the central core created a resonance pattern that rippled through the captured crew's neural storage. Duke and Rex maintained containment protocols, while Atlas transmitted the signal through the subspace array. Security, Chief Tormac's voice cut through their comms. K9 unit performance exceeding all projected models. Broadcast patterns achieving maximum penetration. The swarm fleet's formation wavered as the amplified human canine neural patterns reached their ships. Inside Gamma-7, biological interfaces began to pulse erratically. Harrison's integrated systems flickered as the cascade effect spread through the network. Crew neural patterns destabilizing, Hayes reported through Shadow's feed. We need to modify the broadcast frequency or we'll lose them. Valen's team adjusted their equipment while the K9 units maintained their positions. Through their neural links, handlers guided their companions through precise adjustments to their transmission patterns, walking a razor's edge between disrupting the swarm and protecting the captured crew. The station trembled as the swarm fleet engaged Sauron's defensive line. Inside Gamma-7, Max's enhanced neural signature rippled through the biological computer, creating spreading zones of system failure that threatened to tear apart the swarm's control network. The neural disruption spread through Gamma-7 systems as Max adjusted his position, establishing a focal point for the cascading failures. Through their link, Rays guided the Shepherd toward the nearest junction node, coordinating with the other handlers to create a distributed pattern of interference. A brilliant flash of light signaled an emergency transport arrival. Colonel Victor Ramirez materialized near the Auxiliary Control Center, his specialized counterinsurgency gear marking him as Earth Forces tactical expert. He assessed the situation with practiced efficiency. Those quantum-locked failsafes will trigger in 3 minutes, Dr. Wells announced, her eyes fixed on the biological monitoring displays. The swarm's defensive protocols are accelerating. Configuration Alpha 7, Ramirez transmitted to the K9 unit's handlers. Spread them across these coordinates to maximize signal coverage. Valen's modifications to the dog's protective gear created visible distortions in the biological interfaces as they moved into position. Atlas's earlier discovery had provided the key. Each dog now generated precise interference patterns that disrupted the swarm's neural network. The station shuddered as the first wave of swarm ships latched onto the outer hull. Through Duke's sensory feed, Wang detected the initial attempts at neural linkage. The dog's enhanced gear immediately began disrupting the connection, creating patches of static in the swarm's communication grid. Emergency lighting flashed red. Primary power failing, Lieutenant Commander Henry reported. Radiation containment fields destabilizing. Shadow and Rex broke formation, responding to Hayes and Henry's commands. The dogs navigated maintenance access ways where biological growth pulsed with unnatural light. Their protective gear scraped against contaminated surfaces as they pressed toward the emergency generators. Andorian shock troops deploying to sections 7 through 12, Combat Master Kral announced. Establishing defensive zones around K9 positions. The blue-skinned warriors moved with practiced precision, their urban combat training evident in their coordinated movements. Captain Soren's voice came through the tactical channel as Vulcan Special Forces joined the defensive pattern. Neural pattern disruption at 60% effectiveness, Dr. Nyara reported, monitoring the cascade effect. The swarm is attempting to isolate affected sectors. Through Max's sensory feed, Rays detected the changes in electromagnetic patterns. The swarm's biological systems were adapting, trying to contain the spreading instability. He directed Max to a new position, maintaining pressure on the enemy's neural network. Shadow and Rex reached the emergency generators. The dog's modified gear created interference bubbles that pushed back the biological contamination, allowing Hayes and Henry to access the power controls. The station went dark for 30 seconds as systems transferred to backup power. The blackout disrupted their integration protocols, Lieutenant Commander Henry transmitted. Multiple failures detected in the swarm's network. Andorian and Vulcan forces moved in coordinated patterns around the K9 units, their different combat doctrines merging into an effective defensive screen. Atlas transmitted data from the lower levels, his presence continuing to create localized disruptions in the biological computer's functions. Additional swarm signatures detected, Duke's handler reported through the tactical channel. Second wave approaching from the outer system. Time to full adaptation, Ramirez demanded. 8 minutes before they establish countermeasures, Dr. Nyara responded. We need to exploit their defensive reconfiguration periods. The K9 units shifted positions again, their movements coordinated through their handlers' neural links. Each repositioning forced the swarm to adapt, creating brief windows where their biological systems were vulnerable. Strike teams moved through these gaps, systematically disabling crucial network nodes. Through their enhanced gear, the dog's neural patterns continued broadcasting, their complex emotional signatures creating increasing instability in the swarm's biological computers. Max led them through another position change as Rays coordinated with Ramirez, exploiting each moment of enemy weakness. The station's superstructure vibrated as more swarm ships attached themselves to the hull. Inside, the combined force of humans, Andorians, and Vulcans maintained their defensive formations, while the K9 units pressed their advantage. Through their neural links, handlers guided their companions with precision, each movement bringing them closer to disrupting the swarm's control over Gamma 7. A brilliant flash illuminated the station's observation windows as the Earth Force 7th Fleet emerged from hyperspace. Admiral Morrison's flagship, the EFS Artemis, led the formation of newly commissioned vessels that bore distinctive sensor arrays along their hulls. 7th Fleet deployment confirmed, Lieutenant Commander Henry transmitted. K9 combat support vessels moving into position. Through Max's feed, Rays observed the specialized ships taking up strategic positions around Gamma 7. Their unique arrays pulsed in synchronization with the K9 unit's neural patterns, amplifying the disruptive effect across vast distances. Earth Force engineers outdid themselves, Dr. Nyara noted, monitoring the enhanced broadcast patterns. The fleet's transmission grid is magnifying our interference by several orders of magnitude. Atlas's presence at the command node triggered a cascade of system failures throughout the swarm's network. The biological interfaces flickered erratically as the enhanced neural patterns isolated infiltration units from their fleet consciousness. Shadow and Duke moved through the compromised sections, their protective gear leaving trails of decontaminated systems in their wake. A transport beam deposited Major Brian Harrison near the Auxiliary Control Center. He immediately accessed the nearest biological interface, his fingers dancing across the controls as he analyzed the neural storage patterns. "They're using the crew's consciousness as a template," he reported, exchanging data with Dr. Nyara. "The swarm is learning to counter our disruption effect through human neural architecture." Valen's interface lit up with new calculations. "If we modulate the extraction frequency through these nodes, we can separate the patterns without compromising neural integrity." The station rocked as new swarm units breached the outer hull. These bioengineered combat forms displayed distinctly terrestrial features, sleek predator builds combined with swarm technology. They moved with deadly purpose toward the K-9 positions. Rex's warning growl preceded the attack. The enhanced combat units struck with unprecedented coordination, forcing Private Henry back toward a maintenance junction. Rex intercepted a lunging form, his protective gear sparking as swarm biomatter contacted the enhanced field. The impact sent him sliding across the deck, leaving crimson streaks from where the creature's claws had penetrated his defenses. "Combat Master Krau, adjust formation Delta," Colonel Ramirez ordered. "Priority protection on K-9 units." Andorian shock troops flowed around the dog teams in practiced movements. Their particle rifles created interlocking fields of fire that forced the new combat forms to break their attack patterns. Captain Soren's Vulcan teams integrated seamlessly into the defensive screen, their precise targeting eliminating any swarm unit that penetrated the outer perimeter. "Energy spike detected," Lieutenant Commander Henry reported. "The swarm's adaptation protocols are consuming massive power when multiple K-9 units engage simultaneously." Shadow and Duke converged on a central junction, their combined neural patterns creating widespread disruption in the swarm's biological systems. Atlas maintained pressure at the command node, while Max coordinated the tactical movements through their enhanced interface. Warning klaxons blared as biological conversion nodes activated throughout the station. Tendrils of swarm biomatter began spreading across bulkheads and deck plates, converting organic material into hostile tissue. "Pattern match identified," Colonel Ramirez announced, studying the conversion progression. "The swarm's using modified Earth virus protocols. One, reroute medical containment fields through these junctions." The emergency quarantine barriers hummed to life, creating temporary safe zones while the K-9 units traced the conversion nodes to their source. Through their neural links, handlers guided their companions through the contaminated sections, systematically neutralizing each node. Grand Admiral Thexkin's transmission cut through the tactical channels. "All Galactic fleet vessels, implement K-9 protocols immediately. Earth Force tactical doctrine is now primary." The station's long-range sensors pulsed with new activity. Dr. Nyara's interface displayed a massive hyperspace distortion approaching from the galactic core. The readings indicated a swarm presence that dwarfed anything previously encountered. Major Harrison completed another successful consciousness extraction, the crew member's neural pattern safely separated from the swarm's biological computer. 9 more patterns isolated. Valen, ready for transfer to secure storage. Max led the other K-9 units through another coordinated movement, their enhanced gear creating overlapping fields of disruption that forced the swarm to expend precious resources attempting to adapt. The combat support vessels adjusted their broadcast arrays, amplifying the effect throughout local space. Through their neural link, rays guided Max toward a cluster of conversion nodes. The Shepherd's presence created expanding zones of system failure in the swarm's control network. Atlas transmitted confirmation of similar results from the command center, while Shadow and Duke continued their systematic decontamination of vital systems. The new swarm combat forms regrouped for another assault, their bioengineered bodies adapting to the defensive formations. Combat Master Kral's warriors adjusted their tactics, integrating close combat specialists with the ranged support teams. The Vulcan forces maintained their precise firing patterns, exploiting every vulnerability created by the K-9 unit's disruptive effect. The massive hyperspace signature on Dr. Nyara's display prompted immediate action across Gamma 7. Admiral Morrison's voice cut through the tactical channels. All vessels, implement Project Guardian Phase 2. Deploy K-9 units across the fleet. Through Max's sensory feed, Rays observed Earth Force vessels moving into defensive formations around the station. K-9 combat support ships adjusted their positions, their specialized arrays pooling in synchronized patterns that strengthened the disruption field. General Marcus Blackwood's arrival signal flashed on the command displays. His transport materialized in Docking Bay 3, accompanied by 30 K-9 handlers in next-generation protective gear. Master Sergeant Jack Cooper stepped forward, his German Shepherd Zeus scanning the area with practiced precision. Hyperspace anomaly detected, Cooper transmitted, as Zeus's enhanced sensors picked up distortions in the surrounding space. Multiple signatures, bearing 147 Mark III. The station's biological computer pulsed with unusual activity. Through the neural interface, Major Harrison detected familiar patterns emerging in the swarm's behavior. The crew's consciousness is bleeding through. They're influencing swarm tactical responses. Dr. Wells analyzed the data streaming across her console. The neural patterns are creating feedback loops in their decision matrices. We can use this. Harrison's fingers flew across the interface, building predictive models based on the emerging behavior patterns. Shifting K-9 units to projected breach points, Atlas maintained pressure on the command node. The Rottweiler's presence continued generating cascading failures throughout specific frequencies of the swarm's biomechanical systems. Foster transmitted the readings to Chief Engineer Vallon, who immediately began reconfiguring the station's communication array. Converting Gamma 7 into a broadcast amplifier, Vallon announced. Reactor load increasing to 87%. The station's power grid fluctuated as the enhanced signal activated. Through their neural links, handlers observed the immediate impact on swarm systems. Biological growth on the hull began receding as Atlas's disruption pattern echoed through the modified array. Long-range scans revealed the approaching swarm fleet's new defenses. Combat Master Kral studied the organic shield configurations. These match ancient Andorian bioweapon signatures. K-9 units adjust sensor protocols to frequency band Delta 9. Security Chief Tormak arrived with his Vulcan science team, their equipment already calibrated to interface with K-9 neural patterns. Logic dictates integration of our sensor technology with Earth's K-9 units. The swarm operates across multiple dimensional planes. Zeus detected the first dimensional shift, alerting Cooper through their neural link. The handler transmitted the coordinates as swarm vessels phased into normal space around the station. Their organic shields deflected conventional weapons, but collapsed when exposed to the combined K-9 Vulcan detection grid. Grand Admiral Thexkin's hologram materialized in the command center. Authorization granted for Federation-wide K-9 program expansion. Colonel Ramirez, begin preparations for handler training deployment. Lieutenant Commander Henry coordinated with logistics ships arriving through hyperspace. establishing supply lines for K-9 support equipment. Habitat modules are being constructed at all major Federation military installations. Max's enhanced sensors detected an energy spike in the biological computer. The readings pulsed across Ray's neural interface, revealing complex changes in the swarm's neural architecture. Dr. Nyara analyzed the pattern shifts, her expression tightening. "They're developing countermeasures to the disruption effect," she transmitted. "Time window is narrowing." Atlas intensified his presence at the command node, while Shadow and Duke pressed forward with their decontamination sweep. Combat Master Kral's Andorian warriors integrated new attack patterns, striking in concert with the K-9 unit's sensory data. Through Zeus's dimensional scanning, Cooper tracked swarm movements across multiple planes of existence. The specialized sensor data flowed through the Vulcan detection grid, creating a real-time map of enemy positions that appeared as a holographic overlay in the command center. The station's reactor strained under the load of the enhanced broadcast array. Valen rerouted power through emergency systems, maintaining the disruption field's strength as more swarm ships emerged from hyperspace. The combined fleet moved into defensive positions, K-9 combat support vessels forming the core of their new strategic formation. Colonel James Cooper materialized at the station's tactical hub as the defensive fleet adjusted their positions. His arrival brought an immediate shift in the command center's energy as Thunder, his cybernetically enhanced German Shepherd, scanned the surrounding area with precision-engineered sensory arrays. New contact signatures detected. Thunder transmitted through the enhanced neural link. The dog's augmented systems highlighted previously invisible energy patterns threading through the station's infrastructure. Dr. Nyara's fingers flew across her console, correlating the fresh data with Major Harrison's consciousness extraction patterns. The swarm's neural architecture is evolving faster than projected. They're creating adaptive pathways through the converted sections. General Blackwood's tactical overlay shifted to display a three-dimensional grid of the station. Implement tiered defense protocol. K-9 combat support vessels. Establish outer perimeter formation Omega. Kral position strike teams at these junctions. The Andorian warrior acknowledged, directing his forces to predetermined positions. Vulcan teams integrated with the defensive screen, their modified sensor equipment feeding targeting data to the combined force. Atlas maintained his position at the command node, the Rottweiler's presence generating waves of disruption through the swarm's communication channels. Commander Stephen Drake's arrival signal pulsed through the station's network. His transport carried sealed containers bearing Earth Force Advanced Research Division markings. Technical crews immediately began unpacking the experimental K-9 combat armor, their movements swift and practiced. "Max, report to Bay 7, Rays transmitted through their neural link. The Shepherd moved through the station's corridors, his enhanced senses detecting the subtle shifts in the biological computer's quantum state. Dr. Wells monitored the increasing entanglement between the stored consciousness patterns and the approaching swarm fleet. "The neural bridges are becoming unstable. We're detecting quantum resonance across multiple frequencies." Thunder's sensors picked up the fluctuations, transmitting real-time analysis through the command network. Colonel Cooper studied the data streams, his expression tightening. "They're using the captured patterns to map our defensive capabilities." In Bay 7, technical crews fitted Max with the prototype combat armor. The synthetic mesh integrated seamlessly with his neural implants, creating an enhanced field that amplified his natural abilities. Status indicators flickered across Ray's neural feed as the system calibrated. Quantum signature detected. Zeus transmitted through Cooper's link. The Shepherd's hyperspace sensors tracked the swarm fleet's movement through dimensional space. Transit points identified. Lieutenant Commander Henry coordinated with Tormac's Vulcan science teams, modifying the station's sensor grid to track the dimensional shifts. The holographic display updated in real time, showing predicted emergence points for the swarm vessels. Valen's voice cut through the tactical channel, medical synthesis complete. Deploying modified K9 pheromone compounds through environmental systems. The synthetic chemicals spread through the station's air circulation, causing immediate reactions in the swarm's biological components. Converted sections began showing signs of systemic failure as the chemical agents disrupted their base genetic structure. Combat Master Kral's warriors moved in precise formations alongside their K9 counterparts, exploiting weaknesses created by the pheromone attack. The hybrid combat units demonstrated lethal efficiency against swarm infiltrators attempting to bypass the outer defenses. Max's enhanced armor systems transmitted combat data as he engaged the first wave of adapted swarm forms. The prototype equipment amplified his disruptive effect, creating expanding zones of system failure that spread through the enemy's biological network. Energy spike in lower engineering, Thunder reported, his advanced sensors detecting unusual patterns beneath the station's main deck. Matching against historical database signature indicates dormant swarm technology. Security Chief Tormek analyzed the tactical feeds, tracking enemy movement patterns. Their primary assault vectors focus on K9 unit positions. The swarm prioritizes capture over station control. Dr. Nyara's calculations revealed critical weaknesses in the enemy's adapted neural structure. Their attempt to incorporate human consciousness patterns has created exploitable flaws. Major Harrison, adjusting extraction protocols. The station's biological computer pulsed with quantum feedback as the swarm fleet approached their emergence points. Zeus tracked their dimensional transitions, feeding targeting data to the modified sensor grid. Through their neural links, handlers guided their K9 companions into defensive positions, preparing for the next phase of the enemy's assault. Thunder's enhanced systems detected new variations in the swarm's adaptive patterns, prompting immediate tactical adjustments throughout the combined defense force. The station's automated systems hummed with increased power flow as Valen's modified arrays broadcast the amplified disruption effect into local space. Multiple signature echoes detected in lower engineering, Thunder transmitted, his neural feed displaying complex data patterns. Structure analysis indicates extensive biomechanical network beneath deck plating. Colonel Cooper directed Thunder through the maintenance access shaft, their boots clicking against metal grating. The German Shepherd's enhanced sensors mapped a sprawling maze of inactive swarm technology threading through Gamma 7's foundation. Dr. Wells analyzed the incoming sensor data, her hands moving across multiple holographic interfaces. These nodes predate our earliest swarm encounters by at least 40 years. Gamma 7 wasn't randomly targeted, they're reclaiming existing infrastructure. Commander Nathan Brooks materialized in Docking Bay 4, his arrival bringing immediate activity as technical crews unloaded sealed containers bearing biohazard markings. Scout, his Malinois partner, moved with fluid precision as they entered the command center. Mars excavation data confirms similar dormant systems in the Val's Mariner Riss ruins. Brooks transmitted through the tactical network. Scout's specialized sensors began cataloging biological traces, creating a chronological map of swarm activity throughout the station. The space around Gamma 7 distorted as Admiral Morrison's battle group emerged from hyperspace. The S. Artemis took point position, its revolutionary design incorporating dedicated K9 combat stations throughout its command structure. Captain Sterling's tactical overlay merged with the station's defensive grid. Zeus, run hyperspace signature analysis, Cooper transmitted. The Shepherd's enhanced senses detected gravitational fluctuations preceding each swarm emergence point. Pattern identified, establishing early warning grid. K9 units moved into position throughout the station, their combined sensor coverage creating an interlocking detection network. Max led a containment team into Section 12, where radiation levels exceeded human tolerance. His experimental combat armor maintained full functionality as they neutralized clusters of dormant swarm nodes. Pheromone dispersal systems online, Valen announced as swarm infiltrators breached the medical bay's outer seals. The synthetic compound flooded environmental controls, causing immediate biological breakdown in the enemy's cellular structure. Security footage showed swarm forms collapsing while station personnel continued normal operations. Atlas maintained his position at the command node, the sustained disruption revealing encrypted data streams. Dr. Nyara's analysis appeared on the main display. Current swarm forces show significant genetic drift from original architecture. They're seeking K9 units to correct degradation in their modified systems. Security Chief Tormac's tactical simulation highlighted Federation worlds where the swarm had seemingly retreated. Each withdrawal point shows evidence of dormant technology deployment. They're seeding our territory with sleeper networks. Through the neural interface, Major Harrison observed increasing quantum instability between the stored crew consciousness and the station's biological computer. The extraction process revealed tactical patterns emerging in swarm behavior, predictable deviations caused by human thought processes bleeding through their command structure. Biomechanical resonance detected, Lieutenant Commander Henry transmitted as enemy vessels adjusted their formation around Gamma 7. Thunder's enhanced sensors mapped the energy pattern building between swarm ships. They're attempting to amplify their conversion signal across the entire sector. The S-Artemis moved into attack position, its K9 combat units coordinating with Gamma 7's defensive screen. Captain Sterling's tactical feed displayed real-time updates as Zeus's early warning system tracked new gravitational distortions forming in local space. Scout's biological dating system revealed a progressive timeline of swarm infiltration dating back to humanity's first Mars colonies. Brooks analyzed the data through specialized interfaces, while Max's team continued neutralizing dormant nodes in the station's irradiated sections. The station's power grid fluctuated as Valen's modified arrays broadcast the amplified disruption effect into local space. Through their neural links, handlers observed immediate degradation in swarm biological systems as the combined K9 defensive network engaged approaching enemy vessels. Thunder's sensor data flashed red as the biomechanical resonance field began forming at twice the predicted rate. Energy patterns rippled through local space, distorting the tactical display. Field acceleration detected, Thunder transmitted. Resonance threshold approaching critical levels. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the command center's main screen. Implementing Emergency Protocol Alpha, all K9 combat support vessels formed defensive sphere around Gamma 7. The station's external cameras tracked dozens of specialized vessels moving into position, their K9 units broadcasting disruption fields that intersected and overlapped. Colonel Eric Davidson materialized in the tactical hub, his Belgian Tervuren Ranger immediately scanning the surrounding quantum signatures. Ranger, analyze field composition, Davidson transmitted. The specialized reconnaissance unit's enhanced spatial sensors probed the forming resonance pattern, mapping its structure in precise detail. A surge of energy pulsed through the station's lower decks. Thunder's sensors tracked multiple activation signatures as dormant swarm technology sparked to life. Biological transmitters emerged from hidden recesses, unfurling like mechanical flowers. Atlas detecting variants in command node parameters, Foster transmitted. Ancient and modern swarm systems attempting synchronization. Cooper directed Thunder toward the upper security hub while Max's team maintained containment in the irradiated sections. Davidson, coordinate external defense, will handle internal systems. Dr. Wells's voice cut through the tactical channel. Major Harrison, examine these neural pattern variations. The holographic display showed captured crew consciousness developing resistance markers similar to K9 baseline readings. Harrison's fingers flew across specialized interfaces, implementing hybrid protocol, merging crew neural patterns with K9 sensory data. Chief Engineer Vallon redirected power to modified communication arrays. The combined human K9 signal broadcast outward, creating rippling disruption effects through the swarm's biological network. A new transport signature materialized in Docking Bay 2. Major Thomas Reed emerged with 30 zero-gravity K9 units, led by his cybernetically enhanced Shepherd Titan. The space-adapted teams moved swiftly into vacuum, engaging swarm boarders attempting to breach the hull. Scout, initiate counterintelligence protocols, Commander Brooks transmitted. The Malinois' specialized systems began feeding carefully crafted false data through the swarm's observation network. Radiation alarms blared as ancient technology in the lower decks reached critical output levels. Max led his armored K9 team through contaminated corridors, their enhanced protection systems maintaining full functionality. They reached the primary containment controls as emergency barriers began failing. Zeus tracking multiple emergence points, Cooper transmitted. The Shepherd's hyperspace sensors mapped a complex pattern of dimensional breaches forming around the station. Swarm fleet utilizing activated infrastructure for tactical positioning. Lieutenant Commander Henry coordinated with the S. Artemis through encrypted channels. K9 combat teams redeployed to counter the emerging threat vectors, their disruption fields adjusting to match the enemy's quantum frequency. Thunder's electronic warfare suite detected fluctuations in the swarm's entanglement network. Identifying synchronization gaps between ancient and modern systems, he transmitted. Vulnerability window opens every 47 seconds. Combat Master Krall directed his warriors through the station's neural interface. Andorian strike teams, coordinate attacks with K9 sensor data. Target exposed nodes during synchronization breaks. The combined defensive sphere held as swarm vessels emerged simultaneously from multiple vectors. Reed's zero-gravity K9 units engaged with lethal precision, their enhanced mobility systems allowing them to intercept boarding pods before they reached the hull. Ranger's specialized sensors tracked energy patterns flowing between the ancient transmitters. Biomechanical network attempting to establish quantum resonance with approaching fleet, Davidson transmitted. Calculating signal propagation model. Dr. Wells analyzed the hybrid defense protocol's effectiveness through multiple data streams. The merged human K9 signal created expanding zones of system failure throughout the swarm's biological architecture. Vallon's modified arrays amplified the effect, broadcasting it across an increasingly wide area. Long-range sensors pulsed as new signatures appeared at the system's edge. Admiral Morrison's tactical overlay updated to show additional swarm fleets emerging from hyperspace. The enemy's coordinated attack on Gamma 7 represented only the first wave of a larger invasion force. Thunder detected increasing complexity in the swarm's adaptive patterns. The ancient technology's activation had provided them with new tactical options, forcing the defensive teams to constantly adjust their strategies. Through their neural links, handlers guided their K9 companions through an evolving battlefield that spanned both physical and quantum space. Thunder's neural feed spiked as new energy signatures appeared across his sensor grid. Detecting quantum fluctuations in outer defense array, he transmitted. Pattern indicates system override attempt. Confirmed, Atlas responded through the tactical net. ancient infrastructure attempting to seize control through entanglement channels. Cooper directed Thunder toward the nearest power junction, while encrypted transmissions filled the command frequency. Combat-armored K-9 units deployed throughout Gamma-7's infrastructure nodes, their specialized protection systems gleaming under emergency lighting. A new vessel emerged from hyperspace, its sleek profile marked with Earth Force Command insignia. Cerberus requesting emergency docking clearance, transmitted Colonel Marcus Winters, bringing reinforcements and specialized defensive capabilities. The massive Caucasian shepherd bear padded through Cerberus's airlock alongside Winters, his enhanced musculature evident beneath combat mesh. Bear's sensors immediately began mapping swarm influence patterns across the station's systems. Implementing tiered defense protocol, Admiral Morrison announced through the command channel. Major Reed positioned zero-gravity units along approach vectors Baker through Echo. Reed's K-9 space combat teams moved with practiced precision, establishing a middle defense layer while combat support vessels maintained the outer sphere. Through the tactical display, Cooper tracked Thunder's team securing critical systems in the station's core. Atlas has identified frequency variants in ancient command nodes, Foster transmitted. The holographic overlay highlighted distinct operating patterns between old and new swarm technologies, developing targeted disruption algorithm. Scout's biological sensors pinged as Brooks analyzed recovered genetic data, confirming DNA match with Mars excavation samples, he transmitted. Valen, adjusting station arrays to track similar markers. Warning indicators flashed across Thunder's enhanced vision. Biological projectiles detected, he transmitted as shapes launched from the approaching swarm vessels. The combat support vessels responded instantly, interceptors streaking out to destroy the conversion weapons before they reached effective range. Primary enemy objective identified, Tormac announced through the tactical net. His analysis highlighted attempted uplink points between ancient infrastructure and the modern swarm fleet. They're building a neural network hub. In the medical bay, Dr. Wells and Harrison monitored streaming data as K-9 neural patterns merged with stored crew consciousness. Integration successful, Wells transmitted. Hybrid protection active. Zeus's long-range sensors pulsed. Massive signature detected, he transmitted. Swarm supercarrier emerging from galactic core trajectory. Admiral Thexkin's voice cut through all channels. Protocol Omega authorized. Begin station transformation sequence. Henry's tactical feed highlighted periodic disruptions in the enemy's resonance field. Vulnerability window identified, he transmitted as Combat Master Krau coordinated strike teams through the gaps. Thunder detected the supercarrier's approach while tracking swarm fleet movements across nearby systems. His enhanced sensors mapped invasion patterns forming throughout the sector as Max's radiation-hardened team investigated unusual energy readings from the ancient infrastructure. These emissions don't match known swarm patterns, Max transmitted from the irradiated section, detecting novel quantum signatures in dormant systems. Bear moved alongside Colonel Winters through the command center, his enhanced frame easily supporting heavy combat gear. His specialized sensors probed the station's biological network, tracking the spread of swarm influence through secondary systems. Implementing targeted disruption, Foster announced as Atlas fed targeting data to K-9 combat units. The modified algorithm allowed them to selectively jam swarm communications, preventing coordination between ancient and modern systems. Reed's zero-gravity teams engaged incoming hostiles, their enhanced mobility systems allowing precise strikes against swarm boarding craft. Through multiple command frequencies, the three-tiered defense adapted to each new enemy approach vector. Thunder's electronic warfare suite detected the supercarrier's influence expanding across local space. The massive vessel's biological systems pulsed with conversion energy as Earth Force prepared Gamma-7's transformation into a K-9 enhanced fortress. The station's defensive grid hummed as a new signal cut through the tactical frequencies. Hermes requesting emergency approach clearance, Dr. James Peterson transmitted. Archaeological K-9 unit inbound with specialized equipment. Thunder tracked the vessel's trajectory while maintaining his electronic warfare screen. Through enhanced sensors, he observed Peterson's border collie Luna sprinting from the airlock, her neural interface already mapping ancient markings along the corridor walls. Structural analysis indicates matching patterns, Luna transmitted, her specialized systems processing the alien script, detecting recurring sequences in lower-level infrastructure. Colonel Davidson directed Ranger toward the archaeological team, correlating energy signatures with supercarrier emissions. He transmitted as his Belgian Tervuren sensors highlighted matching frequencies between dormant systems and the approaching vessel. The station shuddered as another ship emerged from hyperspace. Advanced Weapons Division, Priority Alpha, announced Brigadier General Kane. His German Shepherd Storm padded beside him, carrying the prototype neural amplification system. Installing enhancement modules, Dr. Wells transmitted from the medical bay. K-9 neural patterns showing increased projection range. Atlas probed deeper into the command node's biological matrix. Failsafe protocols detected, Foster announced. Ancient systems contain embedded termination sequences. Chief Engineer Vallen's fingers danced across biotech interfaces, modifying genetic markers to target modern swarm variants, preparing for K-9 neural linkage. Combat Master Kral's tactical overlay highlighted intersection points between ancient and modern swarm technologies. Positioning combat support vessels at resonance nodes, he transmitted, maximizing disruptive effect. Luna's enhanced pattern recognition mapped spreading activation sequences through the station's lower decks. Ancient infrastructure designed for sector-wide communication, Peterson transmitted. Supercarrier attempting to establish quantum links with dormant systems. Expanding mission parameters, Admiral Morrison announced. Gamma-7 now designated as counteroffensive staging point. Major Harrison's medical scanners analyzed altered neural patterns in the recovered crew. K-9 exposure has modified their synaptic structure, he transmitted, replicating changes through treatment protocols. The Artemis's warning sensors flashed. Energy spike detected in supercarrier, Captain Sterling transmitted. Preparing biological conversion burst. Lieutenant Commander Henry coordinated with combat support vessels, establishing rotating defensive screens. Implementing neural recovery cycles, he transmitted as K-9 units cycled through active and rest phases. Thunder's electronic warfare suite extracted fragmented data from swarm communications. Historical battle records filtered through his analysis systems, revealing tactical patterns from previous invasions. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected, Zeus transmitted. His long-range sensors tracked energy profiles matching the supercarrier. Additional swarm capital ships approaching. Grand Admiral Thexkin's face appeared on the command display. Federation fleet elements diverted to Gamma-7. Prepare for escalated engagement. Storm's enhanced neural projectors activated, broadcasting disruptive frequencies across an unprecedented range. The prototype amplification system hummed as Kane monitored its performance through specialized interfaces. Luna has identified primary control nexus, Peterson transmitted. Ancient markings indicate master shutdown protocols. Thunder's sensors tracked the approaching swarm fleet while Combat Master Kral repositioned defensive units. Through their neural links, K-9 teams projected overlapping fields of disruption, targeting the enemy's exposed synchronization points. The medical bay's treatment chambers activated as Dr. Wells implemented the new protection protocol. Enhanced neural patterns spread through the station's crew, strengthening their resistance to swarm influence. Preparing to access ancient failsafe systems, Foster transmitted as Atlas established deeper connections with the command node. K-9 units standing by for direct interface. Thunder detected new energy signatures forming around the supercarrier as it continued its advance toward Gamma 7's transformed defenses. Thunder's sensors tracked explosive bursts of energy as multiple swarm supercarriers materialized in formation around their lead vessel. The tactical display filled with new threat markers, prompting immediate action from Admiral Morrison. Emergency Protocol Delta, Morrison transmitted through the command net. All combat support vessels consolidate into defensive clusters, priority on infrastructure protection. The S. Churchill burst from hyperspace, its sleek profile overflowing with enhanced weapon systems. Gamma 7 Command, this is Rear Admiral Marcus Henry, K-9 Fleet Division responding to priority alert. Through the docking bay viewport, Thunder observed the arrival of dozens of specialized transport pods from the Churchill. Each contained Nula-produced K-9 neural enhancement systems, their status indicators glowing as technicians rushed them toward waiting combat units. Drake padded through the command center, the veteran German Shepherd's sensors already mapping defensive positions. His combat experience flowed through the tactical network, updating deployment protocols for the newly enhanced K-9 teams. Neural pattern interference detected, Luna transmitted from the lower levels. Her specialized archaeological sensors highlighted unusual reactions in the dormant swarm systems. Ancient infrastructure exhibiting cascade failures when exposed to multiple K-9 signatures. Colonel Davidson's tactical overlay updated with new deployment vectors, repositioning K-9 units for maximum neural coverage. Atlas, coordinate with Thunder to establish overlapping disruption fields. The station's warning systems pulsed as the S. Artemis docked. Colonel Hunter strode through the airlock, his xenobiological warfare team following close behind. Titan II's enhanced frame moved with practiced efficiency, the Rottweiler's specialized sensors already analyzing biological data from the supercarriers. Confirmed match between carrier cores and station infrastructure, Hunter transmitted, reviewing streaming sensor data. The captured crew's neural patterns could provide access to enemy control systems. Atlas's disruption effect at the command node intensified, creating visible distortions in the ancient technology's activation patterns. Detection positive, Foster announced. Resonance forming between our interruption field and dormant systems. Valen's fingers danced across modified control interfaces, redirecting station arrays to amplify disruption effect. Targeting supercarrier approach vectors. Major Reed's zero-gravity units transmitted urgent findings from the maintenance tunnels. Their helmet cameras showed inactive swarm components predating known technology, their surfaces etched with unfamiliar symbols. The ancient machinery pulsed with energy when exposed to K-9 neural patterns. Implementing pattern recognition protocols, Combat Master Krall transmitted. Positioning K-9 units to create maximum disruption zones at strategic points. Thunder's electronic warfare suite detected complex synchronization, attempts between the supercarrier's biological cores. Cooper directed specialized teams carrying prototype quantum interface gear to critical nodes throughout the station's infrastructure. Multiple simultaneous attack vectors incoming, Zeus transmitted. His long-range sensors tracked waves of biomechanical units launching from the carrier fleet. The new combat forms combined elements of Earth's apex predators with advanced swarm technology. Their enhanced frames twisted through space, partially resistant to standard neural disruption. Adjusting zero-gravity combat protocols, Reed transmitted as his K-9 units engaged the hybrid threats. Thunder, Coordinate electronic warfare coverage with our modified attack patterns. Dr. Wells's voice cut through the tactical chatter. Neural analysis complete. Confirming permanent degradation in swarm biological systems after prolonged K9 exposure. Thunder tracked energy fluctuations spreading through the supercarrier's drive systems as Operation Sledgehammer commenced. Combat support vessels moved into attack formation, their weapons targeting the biological vulnerabilities Zeus had identified. The station's enhanced broadcast array powered up, bathing the enemy fleet in overlapping fields of neural disruption. Through his tactical feed, Thunder observed systematic failures spreading through the supercarrier's biological components as K9 combat teams pressed their advantage. Long-range sensors pulsed with new contacts as additional swarm fleets emerged at predetermined coordinates throughout the sector. The tactical display highlighted their positions, revealing a pattern of dormant technology positioned across Federation space. Implementing neural targeting solutions, Thunder transmitted as he coordinated electronic warfare coverage with the transformed defense grid. His enhanced sensors mapped the spreading wave of disruption, while combat support vessels engaged the weakened supercarriers. Multiple dormant installations detected, Thunder transmitted, his enhanced sensors correlating the tactical data. Energy signatures match ancient swarm technology across Federation space. Admiral Morrison's holographic display filled with red markers as the detection grid updated. Initiate Operation Watchdog. All K9 detection teams prepare for immediate deployment to Federation worlds. The S. Churchill's docking bay opened to reveal Colonel Jack Hammond striding down the ramp, his Belgian Malinois Shadow II moving with precision at his side. The detection specialist's armor gleamed with sensor arrays as he approached the command center. Biological weapons detected, Zeus transmitted. His long-range sensors tracked green-tinged projectiles launching from the supercarriers toward Gamma 7's lower sectors. Major Reed's zero-gravity units sprang into action. K9 combat teams in sleek space armor intercepted the incoming threats, their enhanced protection systems neutralizing the caustic agents. Through the command viewport, Thunder observed the specialized suits' effectiveness as they maintained a defensive screen around critical infrastructure. Federation manufacturing facilities receiving combat suit specifications now, Chief Engineer Vallon announced, his fingers moving across modified control interfaces. Atlas's neural patterns pulsed through the command node's ancient systems. The Rottweiler's sensors highlighted encrypted data streams previously hidden within the biological matrix. Foster analyzed the incoming information through specialized interfaces. Detection algorithms identifying gravitational anomaly patterns, Foster transmitted. Ancient installation locations correlate with natural spacetime distortions. Zeus's enhanced sensors began mapping the coordinates, comparing hyperspace signatures with known gravitational phenomena, building comprehensive grid model. The S Thermopylae emerged from hyperspace, its hull filled with modified weapon systems. Brigadier General Kane's voice cut through the tactical frequencies as 30 enhanced K9 teams deployed from the vessel's specialized launch bays. K9 Special Operations Division reporting for duty, Kane transmitted. His German Shepherd Havoc moved through the command center, the veteran's advanced combat systems already integrating with Gamma 7's defensive network. Luna's archaeological sensors mapped new patterns through the station's ancient infrastructure. Detection positive, Dr. Peterson transmitted. Installation grid designed for sector-wide signal amplification. Chief Engineer Vallon modified the sensor arrays, revealing previously invisible energy connections between dormant swarm facilities. Colonel Davidson coordinated with Ranger to establish counter-frequency broadcasts at strategic points around the station's perimeter. Thunder's electronic warfare suite detected unusual energy patterns forming around the supercarriers. Alert enemy vessels attempting simultaneous grid activation, he transmitted through the command network. Modify attack vectors, Admiral Morrison ordered. All combat support vessels target biological control centers while maintaining defensive coverage. Security Chief Tormac's tactical systems highlighted fluctuations in the swarm's neural network. Grid activation creating systemic vulnerabilities, he transmitted. Combat Master Krall repositioned K-9 units throughout the station, focusing on intersection points between ancient and modern swarm systems. The enhanced teams projected overlapping disruption fields, exploiting the enemy's temporary weaknesses. The station's docking bay activated as Major William Stone's transport arrived. His Bernese Mountain Dog builder carried specialized construction equipment, already analyzing Gamma-7's infrastructure through enhanced engineering sensors. K-9 Engineering Corps beginning fortification deployment, Stone transmitted. Builder's systems projected optimal placement points for defensive structures throughout critical sectors. In the medical bay, Dr. Wells and Major Harrison studied new data from their neural monitoring equipment. Multiple K-9 brain pattern exposure creates permanent biological alterations in swarm systems, Harrison transmitted. The tactical display filled with new contacts as additional supercarriers emerged from hyperspace. Resonance fields formed around the dormant installations, creating protective barriers against neural interference. Detecting modified shielding frequencies, Thunder transmitted as his electronic warfare suite analyzed the enemy's defensive measures, adjusting disruption patterns to compensate. Builders' construction units deployed rapidly assembling fortifications, while combat support vessels engaged the supercarriers. Through the command center's enhanced displays, Thunder tracked the spreading battle as both sides fought for control of the ancient grid's activation sequence. Thunder's sensors registered new energy fluctuations through the maintenance tunnels as Builder accessed previously hidden access panels. The Bernese Mountain Dog's specialized engineering systems mapped a network of concealed shafts threading through Gamma-7's lower sectors. Detection positive, Major Stone transmitted. Ancient power distribution nodes located beneath primary infrastructure. Builder's team moving to investigate. K-9 engineering units navigated the narrow passages, their enhanced sensors collecting data on dormant swarm technology integrated into the station's original systems. Builder transmitted detailed schematics through the tactical network, highlighting critical junction points. The S-Valiant emerged from hyperspace, its specialized launch bays deploying 15 assault teams. Colonel Marcus Wright's voice cut through the command frequencies. K-9 Tactical Response Division on station, initiating close-quarters combat protocols. Stryker moved through the command center, the Belgian Malinois Advanced Detection Suite already analyzing the supercarrier's biological shielding. Structural weakness identified in carrier defense grid, Wright transmitted. Forwarding targeting data to combat support vessels. Thunder coordinated with Captain Sterling, their systems calculating optimal positions around Gamma-7's perimeter. Combat support vessels took up precise intervals, projecting overlapping disruption fields that fractured the swarm's activation sequence. Grid synchronization failing, Thunder transmitted as his electronic warfare suite tracked cascading errors through enemy systems. Supercarrier timing mechanisms showing increased destabilization. In the research lab, Dr. Peterson studied data streaming from Luna's archaeological sensors. Biological markers detected in ancient infrastructure. Components derived from extinct species incorporated into original construction. Valen's fingers flew across modified control interfaces, adjusting neural amplification frequencies. Atlas transmitted through the tactical network as the enhanced signals took effect. Multiple dormant nodes disabled, preventing synchronization with carrier fleet. Security Chief Tormak highlighted intersection points between enemy resonance fields on the tactical display. Combat Master Krau directed Andorian shock troops through the zero-gravity sectors, K-9 units providing enhanced combat support against swarm boarding parties. Alert, Zeus transmitted. Anomalous energy signatures detected in asteroid field bearing 035. His long-range sensors mapped previously hidden installations embedded in the space debris. Colonel Hammond deployed Shadow II with specialized detection teams. The Belgian Malinois led precise sweeps through the asteroid field, uncovering a network of dormant facilities positioned for strategic advantage. Dr. Wells monitored neural activity patterns from rescued crew members in the medical bay. Multiple K-9 exposure creating protective effect against swarm influence, he transmitted, requesting additional units for medical facility coverage. Power fluctuations surged through Gamma-7's distribution network as concentrated swarm attacks targeted critical systems. Builder coordinated with Major Reed's zero-gravity units, their enhanced engineering capabilities maintaining crucial power flow to the command node. Enemy carriers adopting new attack formation, Lieutenant Commander Henry transmitted. His tactical systems highlighted the emerging neural linkage pattern, detecting attempted mass consciousness convergence. Thunder modified his electronic warfare protocols, creating randomized disruption frequencies that prevented enemy adaptation. Through the command viewport, the spreading battle illuminated space around Gamma-7 as K-9-equipped vessels engaged the swarm fleet. Long-range sensors pulsed with new contacts as additional carrier waves approached from multiple vectors. Grand Admiral Thexkin's holographic form materialized in the command center, authorization granted for full K-9 fleet deployment. All Federation vessels cleared for immediate engagement. Builders' engineering teams reinforced power conduits throughout the ancient infrastructure, while Atlas maintained disruption effects at the command node. Thunder coordinated electronic warfare coverage as combat support vessels adjusted their positions, preparing to meet the incoming swarm reinforcements. A massive energy surge rippled through Gamma-7's sensor grid as Thunder tracked the approaching swarm vessels. Multiple supercarrier waves detected on intercept trajectory, he transmitted through the command network. Admiral Morrison activated the station's enhanced holographic display. Initiate Operation Steel Pack, all combat support vessels, established defensive formation delta. The S-Wolfpack emerged from hyperspace, its specialized hull overflowing with modified weapon systems. Vice Admiral James Hawthorne's commanding presence filled the tactical frequencies. Earth Force K-9 Integration Command responding to priority alert, transmitting authentication codes. Ghost padded through the command center, the Siberian Husky's enhanced neural interface already synchronizing with Gamma-7's tactical grid. Specialized sensor arrays on the K-9's combat harness pulsed as multiple vessel formations appeared on the tactical display. Builders' engineering sensors detected unusual power fluctuations emanating from beneath the station's primary infrastructure. Energy signature located in Maintenance Shaft 7, Major Stone transmitted. Ancient power node configuration detected. K-9 engineering teams navigated the narrow maintenance tunnels, their enhanced sensors mapping previously hidden power distribution networks. Builders' specialized equipment revealed crystalline structures embedded within Gamma-7's original framework, each node pulsing with untapped potential. Alert, Stryker transmitted through the tactical network. The Belgian Malinois' combat sensors highlighted multiple infiltration signatures moving through adjacent corridors. Swarm boarding units detected near power distribution hub. Colonel Wright's assault teams moved with precision, securing crucial junctions while Stryker's enhanced detection suite tracked the enemy's movements. Neutralizing hostile units, Wright transmitted as specialized weapon systems engaged the biological threats. Zeus's long-range sensors mapped new patterns forming among the approaching supercarriers. Enemy vessels establishing geometric alignment with dormant installations, he transmitted. Formation matches detected swarm technology coordinates across Federation space. Shadow II led specialized detection teams through the asteroid field. The Belgian Malinois enhanced sensors, revealing camouflaged swarm technology embedded within the space debris. Colonel Hammond analyzed the incoming data through modified tactical interfaces. Ancient override protocols detected in infrastructure analysis. Dr. Peterson transmitted from the research lab. Luna's archaeological sensors continued mapping previously hidden command pathways through the station's biological matrix. Atlas maintained disruption effects at the command node, while Foster accessed the decoded protocols. Multiple simultaneous K9 neural connections required for override implementation, Foster transmitted, calculating optimal connection points. Thunder's electronic warfare suite detected new energy signatures radiating from the asteroid field. Alert dormant installations entering activation sequence, he transmitted as his sensors tracked the spreading influence. Colonel Cooper's voice cut through the tactical frequencies, deploying electronic warfare units to sector coordinates, establishing multi-system detection grid. In the medical bay, Dr. Wells monitored specialized sensor readings as Major Harrison adjusted neural broadcast parameters. K9 units rotated through different configuration patterns, their combined effects destabilizing captured swarm biological weapons. Combat Master Crow coordinated with Andorian shock troops, establishing defensive positions around critical power nodes. Through the command viewport, K9 assault teams moved with practiced efficiency, their enhanced combat systems projecting overlapping fields of protection. Enemy adaptation rate increasing exponentially under sustained disruption, Security Chief Tormac transmitted. His tactical systems highlighted energy drain patterns within the supercarrier's biological architecture. Captain Sterling's voice filled the command frequencies as the S-Artemis engaged the nearest carrier, targeting data received from command node, initiating precision strikes on biological control centers. Thunder's enhanced sensors detected new contacts emerging from hyperspace. The tactical display filled with modified swarm vessels carrying ancient technology, unlike anything previously encountered in Federation space. Ghost coordinated with multiple K9 units across the expanding battlefield. The Siberian Huskies' specialized training, enabling precise tactical synchronization between scattered fleet elements. Vice Admiral Hawthorne studied the evolving situation through the Wolfpack's enhanced command interfaces. Builders' engineering teams continued reinforcing power distribution networks, while combat support vessels maintained their defensive screen around Gamma 7. Through the command center's tactical display, Thunder tracked waves of approaching supercarriers as the battle entered its next critical phase. The arrival of S. Fenris through the hyperspace aperture altered the tactical dynamics. Colonel Marcus Steele's voice broadcast across command frequencies. Earth Force Adaptive Warfare Division responding. Hunter deploying for immediate sensor sweep. The Alaskan Malamute Specialized Detection Suite activated, mapping previously unidentified signatures within the approaching swarm formations. Hunter's neural interface highlighted modified biological components that defied standard classification protocols. Implementing Emergency Protocol Omega-7, Admiral Morrison transmitted. All combat support vessels realigned for multi-layer defensive configuration. Thunder's sensors registered energy fluctuations through Gamma 7's maintenance tunnels as Builder accessed another hidden panel. The ancient infrastructure pulsed with awakening systems, triggering dormant defense protocols that synchronized with K9 neural patterns. Detecting amplified disruption effects, Major Stone transmitted from engineering. Ancient defensive grid enhancing K9 capabilities across all sectors. Valen's fingers moved rapidly across modified control interfaces, redirecting power through newly discovered conduits. Channeling defense field through combat support vessels, the chief engineer transmitted. Mobile platforms now capable of targeted frequency projection. Zeus's enhanced sensors mapped geometric patterns forming among the modified swarm vessels. Enemy fleet establishing cascading activation sequence, he transmitted. Pattern matches dormant installation coordinates. Shadow II led multiple K9 detection teams through strategic positions in the asteroid field. Colonel Hammond coordinated their deployment through encrypted channels, early warning network active, tracking activation signals across sector grid. In the medical bay, Foster analyzed data streaming from Atlas's command node disruption, detecting hybrid biological markers in modified swarm systems, he transmitted to Dr. Wells, calculating new interference frequencies. 3 supercarriers broke formation, their modified weapon systems targeting Gamma 7's outer defenses. Major Reed's zero-gravity K9 units engaged incoming boarding parties, while Thunder's electronic warfare suite identified vulnerabilities in their biological control centers. Multiple targets acquired, Colonel Cooper transmitted. Deploying enhanced neural amplification units to designated coordinates. Combat Master Krall directed Andorian shock troops through exposed sectors. K9 neural patterns inducing cascading failures in enemy weapon systems, he transmitted, as specialized disruption fields took effect. Builder's engineering sensors mapped structural patterns through Gamma 7's maintenance shafts. Ancient infrastructure components match modified swarm technology, Major Stone transmitted, implementing countermeasures through station grid. Security Chief Tormac's tactical systems highlighted energy drain patterns within the attacking vessels. Enemy ships showing increased power consumption under sustained neural interference, he transmitted. Captain Sterling coordinated precise strikes from the S. Artemis, targeting weakened shield sections, while K9 combat teams maintained disruption coverage. Through the command viewport, modified swarm vessels struggled to maintain cohesion under the combined assault. Long-range sensors detected new hyperspace signatures as reinforcements arrived. These vessels carried biomechanical units unlike any previously encountered, their systems demonstrating partial resistance to standard neural patterns. Project Guardian Final Phase authorization granted, Admiral Morrison transmitted. Hunter's enhanced detection suite already analyzing the new threats, while Colonel Steele coordinated tactical responses through the S. Fenris's advanced command systems. Ghost synchronized with multiple K9 units across the defense grid, creating overlapping disruption fields that targeted specific frequencies within the enemy's biological architecture. Vice Admiral Hawthorne directed combat support vessels through precise attack vectors, exploiting weaknesses revealed by Thunder's electronic warfare coverage. Through the station's enhanced displays, Builder tracked the spreading battle as ancient defense protocols continued activating throughout Gamma 7's infrastructure. The combined effects of K9 neural disruption and awakened defense systems created interference patterns that penetrated deep into the modified swarm vessel's biological cores. Atlas maintained precise control over the command node, while specialized engineering teams reinforced power distribution networks. Major Stone's units deployed additional countermeasures through the station's maintenance grid, turning the enemy's adaptations against their modified systems. The station's enhanced displays lit up with new sensor data as a massive vessel emerged from hyperspace. The S-Guardian's distinctive silhouette dominated the tactical grid, its specialized hull arrays pulsing with active K9 neural amplification fields. Project Guardian command presence confirmed. Major Stone transmitted. Enhanced carrier signal detected. Major General David Harrison's voice carried the weight of decades of K9 combat experience. S-Guardian establishing primary defense coordination. Warrior deploying for immediate threat assessment. The enhanced Great Dane's neural patterns flooded the tactical network as he synchronized with Gamma 7's defense grid. Ghost sensors registered the incoming connection, automatically adjusting to complement Warrior's more powerful disruption field. Builder's engineering sensors pulsed rapidly as his team accessed another maintenance panel. The narrow tunnel opened into a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures that pulsed in rhythm with the K9 neural patterns flowing through the station's grid. Ancient Command Center located, Major Stone transmitted, his engineering teams already mapping the newly discovered systems. Configuration matches modern K9 neural architecture. Dr. Peterson's voice cut through the technical frequencies, Luna detecting identical biological markers between station systems and Mars artifact database, cross-referencing pattern recognition algorithms now. Hunter's enhanced sensors highlighted modified biological components within the approaching swarm vessels. Colonel Steele analyzed the data through the S-Fenris's tactical display, confirming Mars ruined signatures in enemy vessel structure. Ghost coordinated with Warrior as their combined neural patterns created overlapping disruption fields. The swarm vessel's biological shields flickered under the synchronized assault. Captain Sterling directed precise strikes from the S-Artemis, targeting the exposed vulnerabilities. Multiple frequency disruption achieving 87% penetration. Thunder transmitted, his electronic warfare suite mapping the cascade failures spreading through enemy systems. Zeus's long-range sensors tracked geometric patterns forming among the scattered swarm vessels. Enemy fleet establishing biological control network, grid extending beyond sector boundaries. Shadow II led detection teams through precise coordinates in nearby star systems. Colonel Hammond's voice broadcasted across secure channels. Early warning network active, tracking swarm influence patterns through quantum relays. Combat Master Kral accessed ancient control interfaces as Andorian shock troops secured the chamber perimeter, calibrating legacy amplification systems. K9 neural range extended to maximum coverage. The station's power grid hummed as Chief Engineer Valen implemented new distribution protocols. Combat support vessels adjusted their disruption patterns, maintaining consistent field strength while cycling through different attack frequencies. Atlas maintained precise control over the command node, while Dr. Wells analyzed the incoming neural data. Detecting systemic failures in swarm biological matrix under sustained multipattern exposure, she transmitted. Major Reed's zero-gravity K9 units executed rotating disruption protocols, preventing the enemy's biological systems from adapting to any single attack pattern. The swarm vessels' modified weapon systems fired erratically as their control networks destabilized. Long-range sensors detected a massive signature approaching through hyperspace. The tactical display highlighted an enormous vessel unlike any previous swarm design. Security Chief Tormek's analysis systems categorized the incoming threat. Omega-class carrier detected. Hybrid technology configuration confirmed. Accelerating Project Guardian integration protocols, Admiral Morrison transmitted. All K9 units prepare for coordinated neural assault. Warrior's enhanced detection suite mapped the Omega carrier's biological architecture, as Builder accessed more ancient defense systems. The station's crystalline matrices pulsed with increasing power as modern and legacy technologies merged into a unified defense grid. Through the command viewport, waves of modified swarm vessels struggled against the combined neural assault. Major General Harrison coordinated with Admiral Morrison as Project Guardian entered its final implementation phase, preparing Earth Force's expanded K-9 program for its greatest test yet. Through the command center's tactical display, a new hyperspace signature emerged larger and more distinct than the others. The S-Vanguard materialized, its massive hull arrays already pulsing with active neural amplification fields. Fleet Admiral Jonathan Chase's transmission carried across all command frequencies. Earth Force combined K-9 operations assuming tactical control. Operation Alpha Strike now in effect. Thunder Prime's neural pattern flooded the tactical grid, his enhanced signature registering at unprecedented levels across detection systems. The massive Tibetan Mastiff synchronized with existing K-9 units, creating an amplified disruption field that caused visible destabilization in nearby swarm vessels. Major Stone's engineering teams worked rapidly through Gamma-7's maintenance tunnels, integrating Builder's discoveries into the station's power distribution network. Crystalline nodes pulsed with increasing intensity as ancient systems merged with modern K-9 neural technology. Power grid modifications complete, Chief Engineer Vallon transmitted. Combat support vessels now drawing enhanced neural broadcast capability from station infrastructure. The Omega carrier's hull split open, releasing streams of biomechanical units that moved with unsettling precision. Hunter's enhanced sensors tracked their movements through the tactical grid, while Colonel Steele analyzed their behavior patterns. Detecting oscillating shield frequencies, Hunter transmitted. Enemy units vulnerable to rapid neural pattern shifts. Major Reed's zero-gravity K-9 teams executed synchronized attacks, their neural patterns cycling through multiple frequencies. The enemy unit's biological systems faltered under the assault, their enhanced shields unable to adapt quickly enough to the changing disruption fields. A squadron of sleek vessels emerged from hyperspace, their hulls gleaming with integrated quantum technology. General Marcus Drake's voice cut through the tactical channels. Advanced Combat Systems Division deploying prototype suits. Havoc Prime coordinating neural amplification. The German Shepherd's enhanced pattern merged seamlessly with the quantum amplifiers, creating focused disruption beams that penetrated directly through the swarm's modified shields. Combat teams equipped with the new suits moved with practiced efficiency, targeting exposed biological cores. Security Chief Tormac's analysis filled the tactical display. Detecting multiple ancient technology signatures within Omega carrier structure. Hybrid systems confirmed. Shadow II-led detection sweeps through nearby sectors, mapping similar hybrid signatures across Federation space. Colonel Hammond coordinated the incoming data, pattern matching complete. Enemy harvesting operations detected in sectors 7 through 12. Atlas's neural interface pulsed as he accessed newly discovered command node sections. Data streams flooded the tactical network, revealing intricate details about the station's original defensive configurations. Foster immediately began implementing the recovered protocols, optimizing ancient defense integration. K-9 neural patterns showing 200% effectiveness increase. Combat Master Krau's warriors secured access to a hidden chamber, its walls lined with preserved technology. Dr. Wells and Major Harrison began immediate analysis of the recovered samples. Biological basis matches K-9 neural resistance patterns, Dr. Wells transmitted. Implementing ancient protective measures now. Zeus's long-range sensors lit up as multiple Omega carriers emerged at precise coordinates. The vessels began generating complex energy fields designed to shield their modified units from neural interference. Resonance field detected, Zeus transmitted. Enemy establishing multi-layer protection grid. Admiral Morrison's voice carried across all frequencies. Initiate Project Guardian final phase. All K9 units prepare for synchronized neural assault. Thunder Prime's enhanced pattern surged through the station's newly integrated defense grid, merging with the ancient systems in a display of raw power that caused nearby sensor arrays to overload. The combined forces moved into strategic positions as waves of modified swarm units advanced toward Gamma 7's outer defenses. A massive hyperspace signature dwarfed all others on the tactical display as the S. Cerberus Rex emerged. Its specialized hull arrays radiating power on frequencies that caused nearby sensor systems to automatically recalibrate. Field Marshal Victor Blackwood's voice carried an authority that transcended mere rank. Earth Force Supreme Command assuming direct oversight. Legion, initiate neural pattern integration. The Irish Wolfhound's enhanced signature flooded the tactical grid, merging seamlessly with Thunder Prime's existing network. Their combined neural patterns created interference waves that visibly distorted the approaching swarm vessel's biological shields. Builder accessed another maintenance shaft junction, his sensors detecting powerful energy signatures radiating from crystalline nodes embedded in the station walls. Major Stone, additional power distribution nodes located in Section 7. Major Stone's engineering teams moved with practiced efficiency, connecting modern neural amplifiers to the ancient power grid. The station's defensive field expanded exponentially as each new node came online, creating overlapping disruption zones that extended far beyond Gamma 7's immediate perimeter. Atlas's neural pattern pulsed rapidly as dormant weapons platforms activated throughout the station's superstructure. Ancient targeting systems locked onto biological signatures within the modified swarm vessels, while Foster coordinated with Chief Engineer Vallon through secured channels. Hybrid weapon systems online, Foster transmitted. Neural disruption field synchronized with ancient anti-swarm protocols. Shadow II's enhanced detection sweep mapped precise geometric patterns in the Omega carrier's deployment formation. Colonel Hammond analyzed the data through specialized tactical displays. Enemy vessels establishing triangulation points for biological conversion field. Admiral Chase's voice cut through multiple command frequencies. All K9 units adjust position to grid coordinates Alpha 7 through Delta 3. Thunder Prime, prepare for concentrated neural assault. Dr. Wells accessed newly analyzed data streams from the recovered technology samples. Major Harrison, implementing protective frequency modulation now. K9 neural pattern strength increased by 300%. The prototype combat suit's quantum arrays pulsed with enhanced power as General Drake's teams moved into optimal firing positions. Havoc Prime's neural signature integrated perfectly with the modified systems, creating precise disruption beams that carved through multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. Zeus's long-range sensors detected complex energy patterns forming between the Omega carriers. Warning quantum link establishment detected. Enemy vessels attempting synchronized activation of dormant swarm installations. Colonel Steele's tactical display highlighted key defensive positions across Gamma 7's outer perimeter. Hunter coordinated with multiple K9 units, establishing a counter-network that generated targeted interference patterns through the quantum substrate. Combat Master Kral's warriors secured a massive vault deep within the station's infrastructure. Ancient weapons cache secured, detecting active biological countermeasure samples. Major Reed's zero-gravity K9 teams integrated the recovered weapons into their tactical systems. The ancient technology merged seamlessly with modern neural disruptors, creating cascading failure patterns throughout nearby enemy formations. Thunder's enhanced sensors mapped fluctuating shield configurations across the Omega carrier's biological cores. Colonel Cooper coordinated precise strikes through the Artemis's weapon grid, targeting solutions confirmed, initiating synchronized neural bombardment. Security Chief Tormek's analysis filled command displays across multiple vessels, multi-generational K9 neural patterns creating exponential disruption effect in enemy biological systems. Implement Operation Rainbow Strike, Admiral Morrison transmitted. All K9 units cycle through assigned frequency ranges on my mark. The combined fleet's K9 units generated precisely timed neural pulses across multiple frequency bands. Enemy vessels twisted unnaturally as cascading disruption effects penetrated their modified shields, spreading biological instability throughout their enhanced systems. Grand Admiral Thexkin's transmission carried across all Allied frequencies as Federation reserve vessels emerged from hyperspace. Forward elements assuming defensive positions. All ships prepare for enhanced K9 neural coordination. Legion's powerful neural signature created synchronized disruption fields that extended through multiple sectors, destabilizing the approaching swarm vessels' biological matrices. The ancient builder's defensive systems pulsed in perfect harmony with modern K9 neural patterns as the battle for Gamma 7 entered its most critical phase. A massive hyperspace signature erupted at the edge of the tactical grid. The Prometheus emerged, its specialized neural amplification arrays already pulsing with active power signatures. Earth Force Advanced K9 Neural Research Division arriving on station, Brigadier General Nathan Stark transmitted. Deploying prototype quantum amplifiers to all veteran K9 units. Titan Prime's neural pattern flooded local sensor grids as the St. Bernard synchronized with existing K9 networks. The enhanced signature merged with Legion's broadcast field, creating interference patterns that visibly distorted multiple Omega carriers simultaneously. Builder's sensors pulsed rapidly as he accessed a previously sealed maintenance junction. Detection protocols indicate extensive power distribution network throughout sector, ancient nodes showing active energy signatures. Major Stone directed his engineering teams through the newly discovered conduits, integrating modern amplifiers with recovered technology, power levels exceeding projected parameters. Atlas accessed the expanded network through multiple command nodes, his neural pattern spreading across the enhanced grid. The resulting disruption field penetrated deep into approaching enemy formations, destabilizing biological cores across multiple vessels simultaneously. Colonel Hammond, analyzing recovered biological samples, Shadow II transmitted. Detecting unique markers in enemy hybrid systems. Thunder Prime and Legion adjusted their neural frequencies in precise increments, targeting the identified weaknesses. Enemy vessels twisted unnaturally as their harvested components reacted to the specialized disruption fields. Combat Master Kral's warriors breached a damaged swarm vessel's outer hull. Biological processing core located. Extraction teams moving to secure primary chamber. Dr. Wells accessed preliminary scans of the captured technology. Major Harrison, these modifications have created structural instabilities throughout their base architecture, implementing countermeasures now. Zeus's enhanced detection suite mapped complex energy patterns forming between enemy vessels. Warning quantum entanglement network detected. Enemy attempting unified shield regeneration. Activate ancient weapons platforms, Admiral Morrison transmitted. General Drake, coordinate prototype suit integration with recovered systems. The station's defensive arrays pulsed with combined power as dormant technology merged with modern combat systems. General Drake's enhanced units moved through precisely calculated firing positions, their quantumated shots penetrating multiple layers of biological shielding. Major Reed's zero-gravity teams secured access to maintenance nodes across Gamma 7's outer sections. Chief Engineer Vallon, redirecting power from captured swarm technology to neural amplification grid. The station's defensive field expanded exponentially as enemy power signatures were absorbed and redirected. Grand Admiral Thexkin's tactical display highlighted similar modifications being implemented at other Federation installations. Multiple generation neural assault executing. Colonel Cooper transmitted as the S. Artemis's K-9 units cycled through rotating attack patterns. Security Chief Tormek's analysis confirmed increasing instability in the Omega carrier's biological matrices. Hunter's sensors detected an unusual resonance pattern. Colonel Steele, analyzing frequency interaction between ancient and modern neural systems. Foster modified Atlas's neural protocols, creating cascading failures that spread rapidly through the enemy's quantum network. Swarm vessels lost coherent control of their biological systems as the disruption effects amplified across linked units. New contacts detected. Zeus transmitted as additional Omega carriers emerged from hyperspace. Enemy deploying modified combat units with enhanced neural shielding. Admiral Chase's voice cut through multiple command frequencies. Initialize Operation Omega Shield. All K-9 units prepare for coordinated defense pattern. Titan Prime's neural signature merged with the station's enhanced broadcast network as Builder accessed another set of ancient power nodes. The combined defensive field expanded further, creating overlapping disruption zones that extended throughout the surrounding sector. The S. Prometheus's weapon arrays activated, generating precisely targeted quantum disruption beams that carved through approaching enemy formations. Brigadier General Stark coordinated with Field Marshal Blackwood through secured channels, prototype amplifiers online, initiating Phase 2 of Operation Alpha Strike. Admiral Morrison's command initiated a synchronized assault across multiple defensive sectors. K-9 units adjusted neural frequencies in precise sequences as Operation Omega Shield activated throughout the fleet. A massive hyperspace signature erupted near Gamma 7's primary defense line. The S-Phoenix materialized, its specialized hull arrays radiating power signatures unlike anything previously recorded. Admiral James Blackhawk's transmission cut through the tactical network. Experimental Weapons Division on station, deploying Quantum K-9 interface system. Odin's neural pattern flooded local sensor grids as the Caucasian Shepherd connected to the prototype interface. The resulting energy surge caused automatic recalibration of detection systems across 3 sectors. Legion and Titan Prime signatures merged with the enhanced broadcast, creating a disruption field that visibly warped the approaching Omega carrier's biological shields. Major Stone's engineering teams accessed previously masked control nodes throughout the station's infrastructure. Ancient defense satellites activated in sequence, their orbital paths creating geometric patterns that Builder's sensors immediately recognized. Detecting biological processor cores, Builder transmitted through the command network. Architecture matches recovered samples. Chief Engineer Vallon's fingers moved rapidly across multiple control surfaces. Implementing neural amplification protocols, redirecting satellite transmission arrays. The modified satellites generated overlapping disruption zones that expanded outward from Gamma 7. Enemy vessels caught within the effect showed immediate signs of biological instability, their enhanced shields flickering as K-9 neural patterns penetrated multiple defense layers simultaneously. Shadow II's enhanced detection suite mapped previously hidden power signatures throughout the station's superstructure. Colonel Hammond located concealed weapon emplacements, transmitting activation sequences. Atlas accessed the identified systems through command nodes, his neural pattern integrating seamlessly with the ancient technology. Precise energy pulses struck approaching swarm units, guided by K9 disruption fields to target specific biological weaknesses in their modified armor. Combat Master Krau breached another sealed chamber deep within the station. Secondary control center secured, ancient munition samples located. Dr. Wells analyzed the recovered ammunition through specialized scanning equipment. Major Harrison, detecting unique chemical compounds. Reactivity increases exponentially when exposed to K9 neural frequencies. Federation weapon systems incorporated the modified ammunition, as Zeus's sensors detected unusual energy patterns forming between enemy vessels. Warning quantum entanglement signatures detected across multiple Omega carriers. Initiating Protocol Cerberus, Admiral Morrison transmitted. All enhanced K9 units target synchronized disruption points. The combined neural assault prevented the enemy fleet from establishing stable quantum links. Colonel Cooper coordinated with Major Reed's zero-gravity teams as they secured captured biomechanical units. Technical analysis confirms modified biological processors, Colonel Cooper reported. Architecture matches ancient station components. Field Marshal Blackwood authorized deployment of experimental K9 combat suits. Legion's neural pattern integrated with the quantum interface, projecting disruption effects through multiple layers of enemy shielding. Biological systems failed across several swarm vessels simultaneously. Security Chief Tormac's tactical display highlighted complex formation patterns in the approaching fleet. Enemy vessels establishing biological conversion matrix. Projected effect radius encompasses multiple systems. Thunder Prime generated precisely calculated counterfields through the enhanced neural network. The Omega carrier's biological systems showed increasing strain as they attempted to maintain conversion field integrity. Zeus's long-range sensors detected new hyperspace signatures at the edge of monitored space. Additional enemy vessels approaching. Energy readings consistent with recovered planet-killer samples. Admiral Morrison accessed multiple command frequencies. All units prepare for Phase 3 implementation. Thunder Prime, coordinate with Odin for enhanced neural coverage. The S-Phoenix's weapon arrays activated as Admiral Blackhawk, coordinated with Field Marshal Blackwood. Ancient defense satellites adjusted orbital positions, creating optimal firing solutions for the combined fleet's next assault. A massive hyperspace signature dwarfed all previous readings as the S Ragnarok materialized at the edge of the tactical grid. The ultra-heavy carrier's specialized hull arrays generated visible distortion fields that rippled through local space. S Ragnarok, assuming command authority, Supreme Commander Alexander Wolf, transmitted across encrypted channels, initiating Phase 3 protocols. Kaiser established neural uplink with station defense grid. The Caucasian Ovcharka's neural pattern surged through enhanced quantum interfaces, merging seamlessly with existing K9 networks. Kaiser's signature strength exceeded all previously recorded levels, creating disruption fields that visibly warped multiple Omega carriers' biological shields simultaneously. Builder's sensors detected unusual energy fluctuations beneath Gamma 7's primary defense ring. Located sealed access point. Ancient power signatures detected below station superstructure. Major Stone directed excavation teams through previously hidden maintenance shafts. The underground complex revealed preserved weapon systems unlike anything seen in recovered Builder archives. Engineering crews installed modern neural amplifiers as Chief Engineer Valen rerouted power through upgraded distribution nodes. Power grid modifications complete, Valen transmitted. Detecting quantum resonance between ancient systems and enhanced K9 interfaces. Atlas accessed the hybrid weapon platforms through multiple command nodes. His neural pattern integrated with the recovered technology, projecting precisely targeted disruption fields that penetrated deep into approaching swarm vessels. 3 Omega carriers lost drive control as their biological systems failed simultaneously. Colonel Hammond, analyzing captured combat data, Shadow II transmitted through secured frequencies. Enemy superweapons show identical frequency vulnerabilities to ancient samples. Thunder Prime and Legion adjusted their neural broadcasts, targeting the identified weaknesses. Cascading failures spread through quantum-entangled defense networks as enemy vessels struggled to maintain biological cohesion. Dr. Wells accessed detailed scans of recovered swarm units. Major Harrison, their antineural modifications have created critical instabilities throughout their biological architecture. General Drake's enhanced combat suits activated, projecting localized disruption fields directly into exposed enemy cores. The prototype quantum interfaces allowed K-9 units to exploit structural weaknesses with unprecedented precision. Major Reed's zero-gravity teams secured multiple biological processing nodes from disabled swarm vessels. Colonel Cooper, transferring captured technology for immediate analysis. Confirmed acquisition, Cooper transmitted as Thunder accessed the recovered data, implementing modified electronic warfare protocols. Zeus's enhanced detection suite mapped complex energy patterns forming between enemy vessels. Alert biological superweapons attempting quantum synchronization. Pattern indicates critical vulnerability during power transfer sequence. Initiating Protocol Phoenix, Field Marshal Blackwood transmitted. All enhanced K-9 units coordinate disruption fields through Central Command Node. Security Chief Tormac's tactical display highlighted increasing instability across multiple enemy formations. Detecting cascade effect when vessels exposed to overlapping neural patterns. Combat Master Crow adjusted defensive positions, positioning K-9 units to create overlapping fields of disruption. Enemy biological systems showed accelerating degradation as they attempted to resist multiple generations of enhanced neural interference. Long-range sensors detected new hyperspace signatures approaching from 3 vectors. The modified swarm vessels carried energy readings that exceeded previous biological weapons by several orders of magnitude. Engineering teams accelerate defense grid integration, Admiral Morrison transmitted. Builder, access ancient weapon control systems. All K-9 units prepare for coordinated assault pattern. The S. Ragnarok's specialized arrays activated as Kaiser's neural pattern flooded local space. Ancient defensive platforms pulsed with combined power, their targeting systems guided by enhanced K-9 interfaces, as humanity's advanced combat technology merged with recovered alien systems. The battle for Gamma-7 entered a new phase as waves of evolved swarm vessels approached the station's enhanced defense perimeter. A massive hyperspace rupture dwarfed the previous signatures as the S. Ragnarok Prime emerged alongside the Ragnarok. The superdreadnought's specialized quantum arrays generated visible distortions that rippled through the surrounding defense grid, its hull gleaming with activated energy matrices that connected seamlessly to existing K-9 neural networks. Grand Marshal Steele on station, the transmission cut through priority channels. Aegis, established neural connection with Builder's command interface. The Tibetan Mastiff Great Pyrenees hybrid's neural pattern surged through quantum amplification systems. The signal strength exceeded even Kaiser's enhanced broadcast, creating disruption fields that penetrated multiple layers of enemy biological shielding simultaneously. Builder's sensors tracked a sudden power spike beneath the station's central hub. Major Stone detecting quantum core activation. Ancient power source accessible through maintenance shaft delta. Engineering teams breached the sealed chamber as Chief Engineer Valen analyzed the readings, implementing emergency bypass protocols, rerouting power through captured biological processors. The quantum core pulsed with recovered energy, its output channeled through modified distribution networks. Enhanced K9 neural patterns gained exponential amplification, projecting disruption effects across an unprecedented volume of space. Shadow II's detection sweep-mapped complex energy patterns throughout the approaching swarm fleet. Colonel Hammond, analyzing quantum signature variations. Enemy superweapons require direct synchronization with carrier vessels. Thunder Prime and Legion adjusted their neural broadcasts, targeting the identified connection points. 3 Omega carriers lost drive control as cascading failures spread through their biological systems. The disruption field expanded outward, carried by the quantum core's enhanced power output. Atlas accessed a previously dormant section of the ancient command node. Tactical database unlocked, transmitting historical combat data. Dr. Wells and Major Harrison modified the K9 quantum interfaces in real time, matching frequencies recorded during humanity's first encounter with swarm superweapons. The enhanced disruption field struck with surgical precision, replicating attack patterns that had proven effective against similar biological technology. Major Reed's zero-gravity teams secured multiple control nodes from disabled enemy vessels. Colonel Cooper, biological processors extracted, initiating technical analysis. Kaiser's neural pattern integrated with the captured systems, broadcasting disruption effects through the swarm's quantum-entangled network. Enemy vessels showed increasing signs of biological destabilization as their enhanced shields failed to maintain cohesion. Combat Master Crow coordinated with Odin and Titan Prime, positioning K9 units to generate overlapping fields of interference. The combined neural assault prevented swarm boarding parties from establishing stable attack formations near the ancient weapon platforms. Security teams in position, Tormac transmitted through tactical frequencies, detecting multiple breaches along outer defense perimeter. Zeus's enhanced sensors tracked unusual energy signatures forming between approaching superweapons. The enemy vessels generated expanding biological conversion fields that threatened to encompass neighboring star systems. Field Marshal Blackwood's orders cut through command channels. Deploy all quantum-equipped K9 units. Establish maximum coverage pattern. Enhanced K9 teams activated prototype interface systems, projecting disruption effects beyond conventional weapon range. The defensive screen expanded outward from Gamma 7 as ancient technology merged with human innovation. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected, Zeus transmitted. 4 additional Omega carrier groups approaching from Vector 7. Admiral Morrison accessed the command network. All units prepare for next phase implementation. Thunder Prime, coordinate with Aegis for maximum neural coverage. The Ragnarok Prime specialized arrays activated, channeling power through the station's quantum core. Ancient defense platforms adjusted firing solutions as enhanced K9 units prepared to repel the approaching swarm fleet. The battle for Gamma 7 reached a critical phase as evolved biological superweapons moved into attack range. A massive hyperspace rupture split the void as the Mjolnir emerged alongside the gathered fleet. The ultra-heavy battleship's quantum arrays pulsed with activated power, its specialized hull designed specifically to amplify K9 neural patterns. Supreme Admiral Constantine assuming tactical command. The transmission cut through priority channels. Atlas Prime established neural connection with station defense grid. The Caucasian mountain dog's enhanced neural pattern flooded local space, merging with Aegis and Kaiser's existing broadcast. The combined signal strength created visible distortions that rippled through approaching swarm vessels. their biological shields buckling under the unprecedented disruption field. Builders' sensors tracked new energy signatures radiating from previously unmapped maintenance tunnels. Major Stone detecting quantum resonance chambers beneath tertiary defense ring. Engineering teams breached sealed bulkheads, revealing a network of ancient amplification systems. Chief Engineer Valen accessed the power distribution controls through modified interface nodes. Implementing quantum core integration protocols. Redirecting power through enhanced K9 neural grid. The station's defense network surged with recovered energy as multiple K9 units connected simultaneously. 3 more Omega carriers lost drive control, their biological systems failing as overlapping disruption fields penetrated deep into their core structures. Colonel Hammond, analyzing captured control node. Shadow II transmitted through secured frequencies. Enemy modifications show critical instability when exposed to specific neural combinations. Thunder Prime and Legion adjusted their broadcast patterns, targeting the identified weaknesses. The swarm vessel's quantum synchronization networks collapsed as ancient and modern disruption fields struck precisely calculated convergence points. Major Reed's zero-gravity teams secured orbital platforms containing dormant enemy technology. Dr. Wells modified swarm systems ready for neural interface integration. Confirmed acquisition, Wells transmitted as Harrison activated the captured platforms, broadcasting disruption fields using recovered frequency data. Atlas accessed the command node, coordinating attacks from multiple K9 combat teams. Cascading failures spread through the enemy fleet as enhanced K9 units exploited structural vulnerabilities with surgical precision. Combat Master Krau positioned Odin and Titan Prime at critical defensive points around the quantum core chamber. The combined neural patterns prevented swarm boarding parties from maintaining stable attack formations. Security teams reporting multiple breaches contained, Tormac transmitted. Enemy biomechanical units showing permanent degradation after exposure to overlapping fields. Zeus's enhanced detection suite mapped complex energy patterns forming between approaching superweapons. Alert detecting quantum entangled conversion field attempting to establish across multiple vectors. Implement maximum coverage pattern, Field Marshal Blackwood ordered. All enhanced K9 units activate prototype neural amplifiers. The defensive screen expanded outward as K9 teams projected disruption, effects beyond conventional weapon range. Ancient technology merged seamlessly with human innovation, creating an impenetrable barrier of neural interference. Long-range sensors detected new hyperspace signatures approaching from 5 vectors. The modified swarm vessels carried energy readings that exceeded previous biological weapons by several orders of magnitude. Engineering teams prepare for Operation Alpha Strike implementation, Admiral Morrison transmitted. Supreme Commander Wolf, coordinate enhanced K9 deployment across defensive grid. The S. Ragnarok Prime's specialized arrays activated in sync with the Mjolnir's quantum systems. Ancient defense platforms adjusted firing solutions as humanity's combined forces prepared to meet the swarm's most sophisticated assault. The station's enhanced neural network pulsed with gathered power, ready to channel the unprecedented strength of multiple K9 units through newly discovered amplification chambers. Atlas Prime's neural patterns surged through the modified distribution network, creating disruption fields that visibly warped space around approaching enemy vessels. The battle for Gamma 7 reached a critical phase as waves of evolved swarm carriers moved to establish quantum synchronization, their biological weapons primed to unleash devastating power against Federation space. Implement Operation Final Shield, Supreme Admiral Constantine transmitted. All K9 neural interfaces prepare for quantum integration. Atlas Prime's neural pattern merged with Aegis and Kaiser through Gamma 7's amplification network. The combined signal created visible distortions that penetrated multiple layers of biological shielding simultaneously. Enemy vessels buckled under the enhanced disruption field as their quantum synchronization failed. A new hyperspace rupture opened near the station's defensive perimeter. The S-Valiant emerged, its specialized hull gleaming with activated quantum matrices. Grand Admiral Sarah Henrity's voice cut through tactical frequencies. S-Valiant on station. Storm, establish neural connection with defense grid. The enhanced Newfoundland's neural pattern flooded local space, seamlessly integrating with existing K-9 combat teams. Storm's specialized training allowed precise coordination of multiple K-9 units across the expanding battlefield. Builder's sensors pulsed with new data. Major stone quantum resonance chambers detected. Network connects all ancient weapon platforms through subsection Gamma. Engineering teams breached sealed maintenance tunnels, revealing crystalline structures that hummed with dormant energy. Chief Engineer Valen accessed the power distribution controls through modified interface nodes, implementing multi-channel quantum routing, redirecting power through enhanced K-9 neural grid. Thunder Prime and Legion's disruption fields expanded beyond conventional weapon range as the ancient chambers activated. 3 approaching Omega carriers failed to achieve quantum synchronization, their biological systems destabilizing under the enhanced interference pattern. Colonel Hammond, analyzing captured control nodes, Shadow II transmitted. Enemy modifications show critical vulnerabilities to specific neural combinations. The detection team's data flowed through tactical displays as Dr. Wells and Major Harrison adjusted quantum frequency outputs, optimizing amplification chambers, targeting identified weak points in biological processors. Major Reed's zero-gravity K-9 units secured orbital platforms containing dormant swarm technology. Atlas coordinated precise strikes through the captured systems, while Combat Master Kral's teams maintained defensive positions around critical infrastructure. Ghost's enhanced sensors tracked energy fluctuations through enemy formations. Multiple carriers showing quantum destabilization. Biological weapons losing coherence. Confirmed, Hunter transmitted. Swarm fleet unable to maintain stable weapon synchronization. Security Chief Tormek analyzed sensor data from disabled enemy vessels. K-9 neural interference causing permanent damage to modified biological systems. Enemy unable to adapt to quantum disruption. Field Marshal Blackwood accessed the command network. Deploy enhanced K-9 units in rotating attack patterns. Maintain variable frequency output. Admiral Morrison authorized full power transfer from the quantum core. The station's ancient technology surged with unprecedented energy as every enhanced K-9 unit projected maximum disruption fields across the sector. Zeus's detection suite mapped new hyperspace signatures forming at the edge of sensor range. Alert 5 Omega carrier groups approaching. Enemy vessels show modified biological shielding resistant to current interference patterns. Begin Operation Quantum Strike preparations, Supreme Commander Wolf transmitted. Grand Marshal Steele, position enhanced K-9 combat teams at designated coordinates. The S. Ragnarok Prime's specialized arrays activated in sync with the Valiant's quantum systems. Storm coordinated with Atlas Prime and Aegis, adjusting neural broadcasts to penetrate the swarm's evolved defenses. Ancient weapon platforms tracked unusual energy signatures approaching from deep space as humanity's combined forces prepared to counter the enemy's most sophisticated weapons. The station's enhanced defense grid pulsed with gathered power, channeling the unprecedented strength of multiple K-9 units through newly discovered amplification chambers. Thunder Prime and Legion's disruption fields created visible distortions that rippled through approaching carrier vessels, while Shadow II's sensors mapped complex patterns of quantum destabilization spreading through the enemy fleet. Shadow II's sensor data revealed expanding patterns of quantum destabilization throughout the enemy formation. A massive hyperspace signature erupted at the edge of the defensive perimeter, dwarfing previous rupture events. The S-Nemesis emerged, its experimental quantum matrices radiating power across multiple spectrums. S-Nemesis assuming strategic position, Grand Admiral Marcus Wolfram transmitted. Thor, establish neural connection with station defense grid. The cybernetically augmented Tibetan Mastiff Caucasian Shepherd's neural pattern flooded the sector. Thor's broadcast strength matched the combined output of Atlas Prime and Aegis, creating interference patterns that penetrated deep into approaching swarm vessels. Builder's sensors pulsed with new data streams. Major Stone detecting quantum stabilization network. Ancient chambers connect all defense platforms through subsection Delta. Engineering teams breached sealed maintenance tunnels beneath the primary defense ring. Crystalline structures filled vast chambers, their surfaces etched with patterns that resonated with active K9 neural frequencies. Major Stone accessed the modified control systems, while Chief Engineer Valen integrated captured swarm biological processors. Implementing multi-channel quantum routing, Valen transmitted, redirecting power through enhanced stabilization grid. The station's ancient infrastructure surged with recovered energy. Thor coordinated with Atlas Prime, adjusting neural broadcasts to exploit weaknesses identified in Colonel Hammond's sensor data. 3 approaching Omega carriers lost drive coherence as overlapping disruption fields triggered cascading failures through their quantum-entangled systems. Detection teams confirm critical vulnerability, Shadow II transmitted. Enemy modifications unstable when exposed to combined ancient and modern neural patterns. Thunder Prime and Legion adjusted their broadcast frequencies, targeting specific combinations that maximize damage to the swarm's biological systems. Major Reed's zero-gravity K9 units secured additional control nodes from disabled vessels as Dr. Wells analyzed the captured technology. Fatal design flaw confirmed, Wells transmitted while Harrison modified the command node's frequency output. Prolonged neural interference causes permanent degradation. Atlas optimized the broadcast network, allowing enhanced K9 units to maintain maximum disruption fields without risking equipment burnout. Combat Master Krau coordinated precise strikes using modified combat suits as Odin and Titan Prime established overlapping defensive zones around the quantum core. Multiple boarding parties contained, Security Chief Tormak reported. Enemy biomechanical units unable to maintain stable attack formations. Zeus's enhanced detection suite mapped unusual energy signatures approaching from deep space. Alert unknown weapon platforms detected. Energy signatures indicate anti-K9 combat systems. Implement Protocol Omega, Field Marshal Blackwood transmitted. All enhanced units activate prototype quantum interfaces. The defensive screen expanded beyond conventional weapon range as multiple K9 teams projected coordinated disruption effects. Long-range sensors tracked a massive vessel emerging from hyperspace, a Nexus-class carrier twice the size of standard Omega vessels. Detecting advanced biological network, Zeus transmitted. Enemy command vessel attempting to establish quantum synchronization with dormant swarm installations. Begin final phase of Operation Alpha Strike, Admiral Morrison ordered. Coordinate all K9 units through newly activated weapon platforms. The S-Nemesis's specialized arrays activated in sync with Gamma-7's ancient defense system. Thor's neural pattern merged with Atlas Prime and stormed through the quantum stabilization chambers, creating interference fields that visibly warped space around the approaching Nexus carrier. Additional swarm signatures detected, Zeus reported. Multiple reinforcement groups emerging from hyperspace. Grand Marshal Steele accessed the tactical network. Reposition, enhanced K-9 combat teams to designated coordinates. Prepare for concentrated enemy assault. The station's quantum core pulsed with gathered power as humanity's combined forces faced the swarm's most sophisticated weapons. Ancient defense platforms adjusted firing solutions, while enhanced K-9 units maintained overlapping disruption fields across multiple vectors. The battle for Gamma-7 entered its most critical phase as the massive Nexus carrier moved to establish control over the sector's dormant installations. Swarm installations. A pulse of crimson energy surged from the Nexus carrier's biomechanical arrays, probing the station's defensive screens for vulnerabilities. Implement Protocol Ultima, Grand Admiral Wolfram transmitted, coordinating with Supreme Admiral Constantine through encrypted quantum channels. Thor, initiate neural sync with primary defense grid. Thor's neural pattern flooded through the station's quantum network, merging with Atlas Prime and Aegis in a precise configuration that created visible distortions across local space. The combined neural broadcast penetrated the Nexus carrier's outer shields, causing ripples of destabilization through its biological matrices. Builder's sensors registered an unexpected energy signature from deep within the station's maintenance tunnels. Major Stone detecting resonance pattern in subsection Theta, ancient systems designed for multi-channel biological processing. Major Stone's engineering teams accessed previously sealed chambers containing crystalline processors that pulsed in sync with the K-9 neural frequencies. Chief Engineer Valen integrated power feeds from captured swarm technology, establishing new pathways through the quantum distribution network. Modifying power flow parameters, Valen transmitted. Enhanced neural broadcast capacity achieved. All K-9 units cleared for maximum output. Shadow II's detection, sweep mapped complex energy patterns flowing through the enemy command vessel. Critical weakness identified in Nexus carrier architecture. Quantum entanglement creating systemic instabilities. Colonel Hammond transmitted detailed sensor data to Thunder Prime and Legion. The K-9 units coordinated their neural patterns, generating a massive disruption pulse that cascaded through the swarm's command structure. Connected Omega carriers lost quantum coherence as the interference spread through their biological processors. Dr. Wells and Major Harrison completed real-time modifications to the quantum interface systems. Enhanced neural projection capabilities online, Harrison transmitted. Interface efficiency increased by 300%. Thunder, Ghost, and Hunter projected their neural patterns directly into the Nexus carrier's core systems. The enemy vessel's biological processors failed catastrophically under the unprecedented variety of interference patterns. Connected swarm vessels lost drive control as the cascading failures spread through their quantum network. Combat Master Kral directed assault teams through exposed sections of the enemy command ship, while Major Reed's zero-gravity K-9 units secured critical defense platforms. Thor, Atlas Prime, and Aegis established a triangulated resonance field that matched frequencies encoded in the station's ancient database. The Nexus carrier's hull plates shifted, exposing massive biomechanical emitters that crackled with gathered energy. The enemy vessel attempted to overload Gamma-7's quantum core with a devastating surge of biological power. Atlas accessed the captured command node, coordinating an immediate response through the station's stabilization network. Every enhanced K-9 unit broadcast their neural patterns in perfect synchronization, creating a feedback pulse that traveled through the swarm's quantum links. The massive enemy vessel's biological systems collapsed under the combined neural assault. Secondary explosions rippled through its hull as the chain reaction spread to connected support ships. Thunder Prime and Legion's disruption fields intercepted the few remaining swarm vessels that attempted to retreat, permanently disabling their biological components. Zeus's enhanced sensors swept the battlefield, mapping the aftermath of the unprecedented engagement. No active swarm signatures detected, enemy biological systems showing complete cellular breakdown. Engineering teams secured samples of the disabled swarm technology, while detection specialists analyzed the quantum interference patterns that had proven so devastating. The station's ancient chambers hummed with residual energy as the enhanced K-9 units maintained their defensive positions around the quantum core. "Begin recovery operations," Supreme Commander Wolf transmitted. All K-9 combat teams maintain broadcast coverage of designated sectors. The S-Nemesis's specialized arrays powered down as Thor coordinated with other enhanced units to establish a permanent detection grid. Builder's sensors continued mapping the station's newly discovered maintenance systems, while technical crews studied the captured enemy processors. Grand Admiral Wolfram accessed the command network. Initial analysis confirms permanent neutralization of swarm biological components. Prepare for full tactical assessment of engagement data. The station's quantum amplification chambers pulsed with gathered power as humanity's enhanced K-9 units projected their neural patterns across multiple sectors simultaneously. Ancient defense platforms adjusted their firing solutions to cover previously unknown threat vectors, while engineering teams explored newly revealed sections of Gamma 7's vast infrastructure.